Chapter 315. Lin Xiaoji. Lin Xiaoji. The entire audience was silent at first. The sound of the trumpets could be heard sporadically. Then they burst into cheers and shouts. The cheers shook the heavens. They were sure that Lin Xiaoji could beat Sun Jian, but they didn't expect her to win so quickly and so easily. It was like she was bullying a noob and she seemed to have learned something new. This was really a morale-boosting battle. In the seats of the home team, Jean Dolly and several substitutes stood up and waved their towels excitedly. Damn, why is it me again? Why is it always my turn to be this good thing? In the arena, Sun Jian shook his head to stop the dizziness, withdrew his qi and blood and tried to find joy in the bitterness. Fortunately, I have a good mentality. He didn't waste any time, turned around and walked quickly to the stone steps. He met Lin Ke halfway, who was full of fighting spirit. She has learned tremor force. Sun Jian stretched out his fist and reminded him in a low voice. Lin Ke nodded indifferently and bumped his fist with Sun Jian when they passed each other. Looking at him approaching step by step, Lin Xiaoji hurriedly exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. She visualized the scene of clouds and wind blowing to calm herself down. In this battle with Lin Ke, she only had one strategy and one purpose, and that was to wear him out. Wearing him out a few times of dance stage outbursts would be a victory. The longer she wore him out, the greater the victory. She didn't expect to defeat an 8th pin dance stage fighter who had mastered force. Back then Lin Ke and Lu Cheng were so fierce that they could only barely defeat Wei Xingtian, who was nothing special, by taking turns to fight him. Lin Ke appeared very quiet and reserved in the midst of the sound waves that reverberated throughout the stadium. However, when he stood in the predetermined position, Lin Xiaoji suddenly felt as if there was a huge mountain or a huge river in front of her. She felt as if she was looking up at a huge mountain or a huge river. Is this the suppression of the dance stage? She took a deep breath and tried to get rid of her current state. Cheng, how many moves do you think Lin Ke will take to win? Kai Zongming couldn't help but ask. Lu Cheng rolled his eyes at him and said, anyway, you have no moral integrity to bet. How many moves Lu Cheng would take to win depended on his strategy and how much strength he would reserve for the next round or even the next one. I have a feeling that he will try to end the battle quickly. He will most likely finish it in 3 to 5 moves. Kai Zongming didn't mind his bad friend's attitude at all. He just laughed to himself and said, don't you think that the martial arts that those people from Southern University are good at fits a sentence? The eyes of an eagle, the speed of a leopard, and the strength of a bear. After he finished speaking, he found that Lu Cheng looked confused. Obviously he didn't get the joke. You haven't seen that cartoon? Kai Zongming sneered. Lu Cheng turned his head to look at Yan Zhika, only to see that she was also at a loss. She shook her head blankly, indicating that she didn't know what the joke was either. Maybe it's an old anime? She looked up and made a judgment. Understood. Lu Cheng nodded solemnly and turned to reply to Kai Zongming. Uncle, I'm sorry. We're too young to watch such an old anime. *CK. Little Ming almost choked on his words. Their relaxed attitude affected Li Mao, Wang Dali, and the others. They recovered from the shock of Lin Xiaoji's tremor force. That's right, what's so great about tremor energy? Both of our leading members of the martial arts club know how to use it. At this moment, the referee waved his right hand, and his voice suppressed the rolling waves. Second round, start. The word start was still echoing. Lin Ke suddenly withdrew and expanded his qi and directly broke out the dance stage. Bang! The place where he stood seemed to explode and countless fragments flew out. He grew taller and fiercely pounced on Lin Xiaoji. With just one pounce, the several meters between them disappeared. Lin Xiaoji was just thinking about it when she saw a figure like a meteor falling from the sky, like a god descending on earth, rushing at her with the momentum of Mount Tai. So fast, so fierce, so direct. In a split second, she didn't panic and calmly made a judgment. She swung her center of gravity backward, swung her waist and back, and nimbly and quickly retreated a few steps. These few steps were in both form and spirit like a tall antelope. Her footing was very stable, and her body didn't sway, mixed with some of the heaviness of elephant form. Seeing that she was about to pull away and get out of the predicament just now, Lin Ke suddenly stopped, gathered his qi, and used all his strength to step forward and plow. Boom! The ground under Lin Xiaoji's feet cracked, as if there was a burst of power, lifting her left leg and making her lose her center of gravity. The 16th move of the fighting sect, earth cracking. Lin Xiaoji was a little shocked and a little flustered. Her spine moved up and down and she tried to forcibly stabilize her body. Lin Ke seized the opportunity and rushed in front of her. He visualized the scene of a meteor crossing the sky, bulging his temples and quickly swinging his right arm in a small range, and blasted out a punch like lightning. Lin Xiaoji hurriedly parried and barely used the blast punch, shaking a little bit to meet the attack. Bang! She only felt that she was smashed by a meteor in front of her, and was directly hit by the blast wave that turned into wind and waves. Her chi and blood were tumbling, making her want to vomit, and her 5 viscera and 6 bowels were moving out of their positions in horror. A sound came from her abdomen, like a low and continuous explosion. Lin Kei's right hand moved back, and the left side of his body leaned forward. He quickly swung his arm again, outlining the visualization scene, and blasted out a punch. Lin Xiaoji had just used the internal training method to relieve the shock, and now she had to face the continuous attack. She put her hands on her lower abdomen, clenched her palms, opened her 5 fingers, and used the eagle claw to fight against the meteor force. Bang! Her mind was buzzing and her muscles and tendons were trembling. She was stunned for a moment, and her 5 fingers were unable to hold Lin Kei's fist. It directly pressed against her abdomen and stopped there. The referee stood up straight and announced loudly, "The second round, Lin Kei wins." In the blink of an eye, the winner had been decided. The students of Southern University either opened their eyes wide, covered their mouths, or were stunned. The noise in the stadium suddenly disappeared. Just like before, they knew that Lin Xiaoji couldn't beat Lin Kei and would most likely lose. But they didn't expect that she would lose so easily and without any resistance. The top professional 9th pin fighter who defeated Sun Jian so quickly seemed to have lost her kung fu in an instant. Lin Xiaoji forced herself to do the internal training method to recover. She resisted the urge to vomit, looked at Lin Kei in horror, turned around and walked out of the arena, still thinking about the scene just now. I lost? I lost just like that? She thought that she was comparable to Lu Cheng when he fought Wei Xingtian and could barely resist Lin Kei's double explosion. She expected to exhaust him about 3 force concentrations and complete more exchanges to lay the best foundation for Jianghu later. But who knew that she couldn't even hold on for a minute? Is this the strength of a talented dance stage fighter? Is this the strength of absolute strength? She had just walked down the stone steps when she saw the hippie-looking Jianghu in front of her. She quickly gathered her energy and said, "Xiao Jin, he used double explosion. It must be a big burden for him. Fight well and exhaust him to the limit." Okay. Jianghu put away his usual cynicism and rushed to the arena in order to seize the time. Lin Xiaoji closed her eyes and retched. She walked back to the home team seats with trembling legs. If Xiao Jin exhausts Lin Kei and allows the team leader to fight Lu Cheng in his best condition, we have at least a 50% chance of winning. Team leader? Suddenly, fear appeared in her eyes. Regardless of her body condition, she ran and jumped back to the arena. She spread her hands to the match supervisor and said with a shy smile, "Senior, my things? Don't believe these things. It's useless." The match supervisor was an old senior. He kindly reminded her. Lin Xiaoji blinked and said with a sad and angry smile, "Senior, you don't understand." In the away team seats, Kai Zhongming looked around complacently. "I told you Lin Kei needs to finish quickly. 3 to 5 moves." Lu Qing, Yan Zhika, and the others didn't respond to him. They just whispered to each other, feeling happy and relaxed. Lin Kei's performance is strong enough. We can rest assured. At this time, the students in the stands slowly recovered and regained their morale. They shouted Jianghu's name and cheered for him. Hearing the waves of encouragement, Jianghu's body trembled slightly. He was in the most excited state. He seized the last bit of time he had and quickly reconsidered his strategy. Lin Kei had insta-killed Sister Xiaoji with a double explosion and a miraculous move, so he must have taken quite a toll on himself. In this round he would most likely play it safe and try to take me down without paying too much of a price, so that he could exhaust Captain even more. In this case Just as he was thinking about this, the referee looked at Lin Kei, who was breathing quickly, and raised his right hand without showing any favoritism. Round 3 start. Jianghu immediately calmed down and was about to use the crane steps and the tiger form to attack first, followed by the eagle claw and the crocodile bite. Suddenly he saw Lin Kei hugging and exploding, spewing out Dan Qi again. Is he here again? Isn't he holding back a little? Lin Kei transformed into a heavy truck and flew to Jianghu in 2 steps. He arrived almost at the same time as the wind, as if he was preparing for some terrifying follow-up. Jianghu had plenty of battle experience. He was quick-witted and didn't retreat like an antelope with horns hanging on its head. Instead, he suddenly stretched his body and stood up like a giant bear. He expanded his muscles and turned sideways. Instead of retreating, he took a step forward and crashed into Lin Quebec, bear form. Giant bear hits the tree. Bam. Jean Dolly, who had turned into a giant bear, was sent flying. He staggered and hurriedly tried to regain his balance. Lin Ke didn't manage to execute his follow-up moves. Suddenly, his eyes sharpened and he made another force concentration without holding back. Bam. His cannon was fired and he was in front of Jean Dolly in an instant. Then he stomped his feet and braked forcefully. Amidst the violent friction, he swung his right arm, leaving afterimages behind. Fighting Sect 27th move Meteor Burst. Boom. Jean Dolly, who had just regained his balance, felt a bomb explode in front of him. A violent shockwave came roaring, almost enough to blow him away and tear his flesh. He didn't have time to think. He took advantage of the momentum and rolled to the ground to avoid the blast. Lin Ke had made the second double explosion. He must be under a lot of pressure and needs to take a break. I'll have a chance to do a carp flip. At this moment, Lin Ke retracted his chi and blood, force, and spirit with a deep look in his eyes. Triple explosion. Triple explosion. His eyes lit up and he blurted out. Bam. With the eruption of his Dan Chi, Lin Ke slid forward, leaving a shocking trail on the ground. He rushed to Jean Dolly's side before Jean Dolly could jump up. He kicked out his right foot and stopped near Jean Dolly's temple. Round 3 Lin Ke wins. The referee's voice made the whole arena silent. Muyu stood up, took a deep breath, and untied a strange Taoist amulet from his neck. Chapter 316. Round 3 Lin Ke wins. The referee's voice reverberated in every corner of the Shannon University martial arts arena, rolling into the ears of every student. Their reinvigorated morale suddenly collapsed, and their mouths were wide open in shock. Isn't this too awesome? Isn't Lin Ke too awesome? The two leading members of the martial arts club together couldn't even last a minute against him. Everyone was stunned by Lin Ke's unstoppable momentum. They subconsciously turned their eyes to the last pillar of support, the coach and leader of the martial arts club of their school, the Bane Muyu. In such an atmosphere, a clear girl's voice suddenly rang out. She was shouting madly, Lin Ke, Lin Ke. In the silence, Mu Jinyin, who was waving her hands excitedly, was so outstanding that she attracted the attention of the surrounding people, as if she had become a public enemy. This scared Yan Shaoling, who was next to her, and once again turned into a quail. She trembled and pulled her. Jinjin, calm down. Calm down. I'm also very happy and excited that Lin Ke won, but here are all their people. Yan Shaoling silently counted the strength of the two sides. Including herself, there were only 6 people in the martial arts club, but there were more than 6,000 Shannon University supporters in the arena. Just a spit from each of them could drown me. I'm definitely not mocking myself for being short. After being pulled by Yan Shaoling a few times, Mu Jinyin calms down a little and stops shouting. However, looking at Mu Jinyin's flushed face, bright eyes and eager posture, Yan Shaoling is full of worry. She says in the live broadcast post of the forum, thousands of people around are from Shannon University, and the girl next to me is very excited and wants to provoke them. What should I do? I'm waiting online, it's urgent. Ha! Pretend you don't know her and shout, Old Mu, I love you. It's not difficult for you to do that, considering your immoral nature. Unparalleled Dragon King laughed out loud. Brahmin urged, call them daddy one by one. Hook your finger at them and shout, come on, if you dare, come and beat me. Then the girl next to you will be safe. Okamoto's fan said with a sly smile. Pretend you're a quail. A frontline cat reporter, Nyechichi, also knew the story of a quail. How about I send you a fake hat, then they won't recognize you. Naive said vengefully. Because of his thin hair, Yan Shaoling gave him several nicknames such as Baldy and Big. Yan Shaoling looked up and looked away from the phone screen and murmured, these unlucky kids. In the guest team seats, Sun Jian was the first to jump up and cheer. Lin Ke was not careless at all. And he? What kind? Calm. And? Calm. His physical strength improved a lot. He had seriously thought about how to help his brother-in-law improve his physical strength, and had even asked his master for help. But Geezer Sure had dismissed him with one sentence. Lin Ke has his elders. I don't want to make trouble for him. Look at my expression. Yenjika turned her head and stared at her boyfriend coquettishly. You don't know either? Lu Qing understood her meaning. If I knew, I wouldn't have been so excited and surprised. Yenjika raised her voice at the end of the sentence, and then she scolded him with her mouth, stupid Cheng. She was in a very good mood. She looked around and felt proud. Well, your brother is the kind of person who makes big news without saying anything. Lu Qing made fun of his brother-in-law. Yan Zhika rolled her eyes at him and didn't say anything bad about her cousin. She relaxed her body and stretched her posture. I only know that my grandpa and grandma gave him several sets of kung fu to strengthen his physical strength, but it is said that the effect is not very good. Maybe my cousin practiced all of them and that's why he has improved so much. At this point the two of them tacitly looked at the ring at the same time. They saw Lin Kei standing in the same place taking the opportunity to breathe. Sweat fell from his forehead like rain, dripping down, leaving many marks on the ground. He must have gone through unimaginable hard training to break through the limit. God helps those who help themselves. Qing, how many more dance stage outbursts do you think my brother can make? Yan Zhika asked with expectation and worry. Lu Qing thought for a while and said, it's too far away so I can't see clearly. I might not be able to make an accurate judgment. Just listen and see. I think your brother can only do one more force concentration. But even without the burst of dance stage, your brother is still stronger than a top-notch professional ninth pin fighter. Even if he consumes too much energy and his physical condition deteriorates, he can still fight. In other words, if his opponent was a professional ninth pin fighter, Lin Kei would have a chance to win. What a pity. Yan Zhika understood her boyfriend's unspoken words and sighed softly. What a pity that his opponent was a strong supernatural ability user. At this time, the mature-looking Mu Yu had come to the stone steps and handed his belongings to the competition supervisor. He had already thrown the strange Taoist amulet into Lin Xiaoji's hand. This wasn't some mystical artifact, it was just a shackle on his mind. The backlash of his supernatural ability would randomly make his friends and family suffer for 3 days. Of course, he couldn't use it with peace of mind. Unless it was necessary, he would only use his martial arts. Because of this, he couldn't pass the ranking event of professional 8th pin, even if he had defeated more than one professional 8th pin fighter in the dance stage. This time, the loser would be ranked second and would most likely face Shan Bei in the quarterfinals. It was a battle of life and death. Xiao Xiao, Xiao Jin, and the rest had hinted that they were prepared to be unlucky. How could he bear to let them down? How could he disappoint everyone who had come to the martial arts arena together? Unshackle and go all out. From now on I am Muyu the Bane. Stepping into the arena, he stood at the position where Lin Xiaoji and Jin Dali had started. Lin Kei also returned to the opposite side. The referee looked at Muyu with a solemn expression. He puffed up his chest and shouted, "Round 4 start." Muyu curled his toes and the 2 muscles on his back flapped. He nimbly bypassed Lin Kei and chose to fight in a guerrilla style. This time, Lin Kei didn't attack with his Dan Chi at the beginning. If it was said that after defeating Jin Dali, his entire body seemed to be overflowing with flames, exuding a vigorous fighting spirit, and displaying the joy and thirst of victory, then now all of this was restrained, and he was as calm as water, as steady as the ground. Lin Kei swayed his center of gravity and stepped on Yu's steps. He was faster and more agile than Muyu, closing the distance between them. Just as he was about to enter the attacking range, his right foot suddenly missed as if he had stepped on a trap. Crack. He lost his balance and his right foot sank into the ground. This green brick was the one he had stepped on when he was running to perform the meteor blast. That dance stage movement required the explosion to be gathered in an instant to produce the effect of a small bomb. Therefore he used force to step on it. It didn't break the ground but softened the cornerstone. Now that he stepped on it, of course it was empty. Moreover, the arena was so large. To be able to just happen to step on one of these pieces, and even step on it, that was a matter of extremely small probability. What an unlucky encounter. Lin Kei's body tilted and Muyu immediately leaned on him. He moved to the side with the crane steps and visualized a tiger roaring in the forest. He raised his right hand and fiercely chopped down. This degree of loss of center of gravity was a problem for a professional 9th pin, but it wasn't too serious for a dance stage mighty ones. Lin Kei's muscles expanded and his fascia stretched. He quickly regained his center of gravity and stabilized his body. He raised his left arm and was ready to counterattack with half a block and half a swing. But just as he was about to exert his strength, his arm muscles suddenly twitched and showed signs of strain. Under normal circumstances, it was inevitable for martial artists to have such injuries. However, they would only encounter such injuries when they were relatively exhausted. Especially for dance stage martial artists, they had extremely strong control over their bodies. Under normal circumstances, how could they injure themselves by exerting force? Lin Kei's physical condition had deteriorated a lot and he was close to his limit. but as a Danqi-level mighty ones, all the forces in his body were united as one. Without other factors, it was impossible for him to show signs of strain at this time. However, this extremely small probability of happening had unfortunately happened. Of course, if his physical condition was good, such a small probability would be close to zero, and he wouldn't have suffered such an inexplicable injury. That was why Lin Xiaoji believed that the more tired the enemy was, the easier it was for her captain to win. At this critical moment, if Lin Ke forced himself to parry, not only would his stance be broken by Mu Yu due to insufficient strength, but he would also cause the strain to become a symptom of strain. Therefore, he pondered deeply and took a deep breath to let his qi and blood flow back, so that all the forces in his body were united as one. Boom. Dan qi gushed out. Lin Ke's left arm first stagnated, then expanded and swung back. There were no more signs of strain. Bam. Mu Yu's tiger hug downward chop couldn't resist the counterpunch of Lin Ke's force concentration. He couldn't help but take a few steps back, each step leaving a footprint of varying depths. Lin Ke's eyes were cold as ice. He hurried forward, wanting to seize this opportunity to perform 24 blizzard strikes. Suddenly, his feet slipped again and his body tilted forward. This was where his and Jean Dali's sweat had stained. How unlucky he was to step on it. Mu Yu exerted strength in his arched feet, and like a red-crowned crane, he quickly circled to Lin Ke's back. Taking advantage of the moment when Lin Ke was close to his limit and couldn't pull back his center of gravity, Mu Yu transformed into a giant bear and leaned against Lin Ke's back. Bam! Lin Ke staggered and rushed out of the arena. He barely managed to stand and didn't fall. The referee withdrew his hand and raised it high, announcing, "Round 4 Mu Yu wins." Seeing that the great Demon King who had silenced the entire audience just now, was defeated by Old Man Mu, in just a few moves, the students in the stands cheered and jumped for joy. They erupted with a momentum that was comparable to the beginning of the match, praising their Lord General with shouts. Mu Yu, Jinx, Jinx. What a troublesome supernatural ability, Lu Qing thought. He took a deep breath, stood up and took off his jacket. Yan Zhika, who was beside him, looked worried. She blurted out, "Qing?" She wanted to remind her boyfriend to be careful, but when the words came to her mouth, she felt that it would be too much of a jinx. She was stuck and didn't know what to say. "What's wrong?" Lu Qing turned to look at Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika smiled and waved his fists, saying, "Go for it." Chapter 317. Lu Qing smiled and bumped Yan Zhika's hand with his fist. He said in a low voice, "It's all thanks to Coach Yan's brilliance." Although misfortune was a strange and troublesome supernatural ability, it was not invincible. Especially since Old Man Mu had limited strength and the arena was simple. As long as Lu Qing paid more attention to the situation and fought cautiously, he would not be too unlucky. His advantage in strength was enough to offset everything. "Come on, I'll lend you everything," Yan Zhika answered in a low voice, her eyes sparkling and her pink lips opening and closing. Then she took the initiative to bump Lu Qing's fist. Lu Qing put his coat on the seat and high-fived his teammates one by one. "Victory!" Li Mao, Sun Jian and the others yelled out worriedly. Although they were confident in Lu Qing's strength, Lin Ke's loss was too strange. They could not help but feel nervous when they thought of Old Man Mu's previous victories. The lucky ones were similar, but the unlucky ones were all different. Lu Qing smiled faintly, waved his fist and replied firmly, "Victory!" Seeing Lin Ke off the stage, Lin Xiaoji jumped up from the seats of the home team, the rosary beads in her hand and the cross in her palm shaking. "Captain is awesome." She tied her hair into a high ponytail again and her eyes were full of joy. "He didn't let me down." Jean Dali also waved his fist excitedly and asked for approval. "Captain, you didn't consume much energy, right? He just blocked Lin Ke's dance stage explosion and didn't even take it head-on." Yes, it's a one-on-one fight with Lu Qing." Lin Xiaoji nodded her ponytail. "Misfortune is really a magical supernatural ability." Thinking of this, she lowered her head and checked again to see if she had forgotten or brought the wrong amulet. Pain and happiness. In the stands, Mu Jinyin, who was shouting excitedly, became gloomy. He pouted and stamped his feet. "Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Isn't this cheating? Why don't you use your supernatural ability? Let's have a martial arts competition with our Lin Ke." What an embarrassing loss. While Mu Jinyin was mumbling unreasonably, Yan Shaoling was already nervous. Various scenes of Lu Qing's misfortune flashed in her mind. "It's time to go on the stage. Quick, everyone treat yourselves as lucky stars." she called out in the live post. I'll be the head. Unparalleled Dragon King made a joke. Uncle, what do you mean? I don't understand. Yan Shaoling replied with a confused expression. And the mood of the audience around her had recovered from the abyss. They became excited again and were full of imagination about the result of the competition. Both sides were down to the last contestant, so why couldn't they hope for victory? Although Lu Qing was a very powerful martial artist, any kind of accident could happen in a one-on-one fight. The Bane's bad luck increased the probability of these accidents happening. Old Man Mu wasn't good at creating miracles, but he was good at dragging his opponents down to his level. Our chances of winning are slim, but what if? Who knows? The audience exhaled one by one, creating a rolling and reverberating wave. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Lu Qing ignored the waves of cheers, each louder than the last, and steadily walked along the road towards the arena, meeting up with Lin Ke halfway. There was no look of pain on Lin Ke's face. His eyes were deep and no one knew what he was thinking. He just habitually raised his hand and bumped fists with Lu Qing. Hey, this isn't the brother-in-law I know. With his perverted desire for victory, shouldn't he be upset and upset now? Lu Qing was a little surprised. But in the blink of an eye, he was relieved of this doubt. Putting himself in the other's shoes, if it were him after inexplicably losing a match, the most important psychological activity would definitely not be pain, but thinking about why he lost, where he lost, and what he should do next time to avoid the same mistake. Brother-in-law should be at this stage. When the two were about to pass each other, Lin Ke suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Be careful, no problem." Sure enough. Lu Qing confirmed his speculation and smiled happily. Don't worry. While speaking, he passed by Lin Ke and strode to the stone steps. His momentum was accumulating little by little, like a storm sweeping over. Muyu suddenly had the illusion that the temperature in the arena had dropped a lot, and subconsciously shivered. When Lu Qing stood in front of him, his momentum was like a rainbow as deep as the sea. Without making a move, he could weaken the opponent's fighting spirit and affect their judgment. The referee looked around, raised his right hand again and spat out the force in his dantian. Round 5, start. Lu Qing didn't want to attack first. Instead he was cautious. He looked around and listened carefully, taking in the situation of the arena and his own body. He waited calmly to avoid any accidents. Muyu unleashed his supernatural ability without holding back. With the crane step, he leaped and circled towards his opponent. Suddenly, his right foot fell into the ground and his body fell forward involuntarily. The yin force under Lin Ke's feet stepped on more than one soft spot. Lu Qing wasn't unlucky, but Muyu tasted the trap that Lin Ke tasted. Crack. His right foot fell into the air and his body fell forward. Seeing that he was about to kneel down to Lu Qing, he quickly straightened his spine and exerted the force in his muscles to pull back his center of gravity. This pull was too forceful. Instead of falling forward, Muyu leaned back and took 2 steps back. Whoosh. In a panic, he didn't pay attention to his feet and stepped on the slippery mark left by Lin Ke when he slid and kicked Jianghu. Muyu slid back with his left foot and did a split. Then he heard the sound of cloth tearing. It was so pleasant and so thrilling. Rip. Muyu's crotch was torn and a red color was exposed. Lu Qing stood there dumbfounded. The situation was so weird that he didn't dare to attack for fear of falling into a trap. What happened? Lu Qing was at a loss. In the midst of the chaos, Muyu steadied himself and caught sight of his boxers from the corner of his eye. His face instantly flushed with the same color as a few thoughts flashed through his mind. How did this happen? Did I finally reach my limit after wearing this martial arts suit for half a year? What was the reason for the series of accidents? How did this happen? Lin Xiaoji held the cross and stared blankly at the arena. She didn't understand what had happened. The unlucky one was not Lu Qing but Captain. She glanced at Muyu's bright red boxers shyly, and an idea popped up in her mind. Well, Captain also believed in metaphysics. How did this happen? Jianghu rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he had been knocked out by Lin Ke and was now dreaming. How did this happen? Yanjika opened her eyes wide and her mouth almost formed an O shape. It was rare for her to lose her composure. Qing didn't get unlucky but the Bane got unlucky himself? Was there really such a thing as the human glory? How did this happen? Kai Zongming touched his chin and suddenly punched Li Mao. What? Li Mao came back to his senses and looked at him sideways. I'm not dreaming, Kai Zongming said with a smile. Don't you think it's weird? It's weird. Did the Bane's counterattack come early? But isn't his counterattack always aimed at others? Li Mao forgot about the punch just now. How did this happen? Lin Ke frowned and felt confused. Beside him, Geezer sure snorted and nodded thoughtfully. How did this happen? The spectators in the stands were all dumbfounded. They suspected that this was a masquerade and that the one wearing the Lu Qing mask was Captain Muyu, while the unlucky old man Mu was actually Lu Qing. They had time to be surprised, but Muyu couldn't. If Lu Qing got close to him while he was in a split, he wouldn't be able to withstand more than 2 moves. Thoughts flashed in his mind and he quickly made a decision. He lay down and rolled to the side, hiding the killer move of the silent kick. Lu Qing watched and didn't attack blindly. He didn't know what was going on and whether he would be affected. Of course he had to be cautious. While rolling, Muyu was relieved that his opponent didn't seize the opportunity to attack. He exerted strength in his waist and abdomen and was about to stand up and take a stance again. But at this moment, a few round pieces of stone that he had brought with him from his roll stopped right where he had landed. Whoosh! Muyu slipped again. Before he could straighten his body, he leaned back again and fell on his back. It was a heavy fall and he felt a little dizzy. He hurriedly rolled again to avoid the opponent's attack. Lu Qing watched Muyu's performance with twitching mouth. He almost forgot that he was still in the arena. What is he going to do? Muyu rolled a few times and suddenly lost his touch. He realized that he was already at the edge of the ring. Half of his body was outside the ring and he was falling in midair. He was shocked. He stretched out his hand and tried to catch the arena. But for some reason he was still half a beat too late. He only touched the edge of the arena with his fingertips. Thump. Muyu fell to the ground beside the ring. His eyes were blank and lifeless. He wasn't the only one who was in a daze. Lu Qing opened his mouth slightly and almost blurted out, F***CK. I haven't even made a move. How did I win? Not only that, I haven't even moved since the start of the match. The referee was stunned for more than 10 seconds. He looked at Lu Qing in confusion and raised his right hand. Round 5 Lu Qing wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. Clang. The cross in Lin Xiaoji's hand fell to the ground. She muttered to herself in horror, this metaphysics is wrong. Well, it's not metaphysics if you can understand it. God, did you get the wrong script? Jean Dolly blurted out as if he was sleep-talking. The audience in the stands looked at each other in confusion. For the time being, they didn't feel the depression or pain of defeat. We might be watching a fake match. This should be an incredible event on campus, right? The Bane, who was famous for making his opponent unlucky, defeated himself without even a single fight. In the away team seats, Kai Zoming opened his mouth and said, "This is the strangest match I've ever seen, so far." Chapter 318. In the stands, Yan Shaoling, who was holding her phone to record the match, opened her mouth wide in shock. Originally, she was worried that she would be unable to stop herself from shouting and waving her arms when she saw the intense part of the battle. She was worried that she would accidentally throw her phone away. Who would have thought that the development of this battle would be so outrageous that she was completely dumbstruck? She didn't cheer or get excited. Instead, she turned off the camera and posted the video to the forum with a title that best expressed her feelings. I might have met a ghost. Quickly scrolling the progress bar, Unparalleled Dragon King finished watching the match in less than a minute. He sent an emoji scratching the back of its head and said, "Damn, what is Muyu doing? Lu Qing won just like that? Is Muyu suffering from the backlash of his supernatural ability?" Road to the arena wandered over to them again. Aha, I got it. So funny. My stomach hurts from laughing. Nye Chi sent an emoji. I watched it twice. Each time I watched it, I laughed like crazy. How is this a martial arts competition? It's obviously a comedy show. Okamoto's fan sent an emoji of crying tears of laughter. Hands up. Didn't you say that the backlash of Muyu's supernatural ability would only affect the people around him and not himself? Brahmin laughed through her tears and looked confused at the same time. Unparalleled Dragon King sent an emoji of laughter and said, Muyu is blessed by God. He used his supernatural ability Misfortune on Lin Ke and Lu Qing. It's normal for him to suffer from the backlash. No problem, that's it. I see. Then I can laugh without worry. Brahmin sent an extremely large emoji of haha. But he didn't suffer from the backlash when he fought Peng Lian last year. Wonton Seller had been waiting to watch the video during her break in senior high school. No problem. Last year, Muyu fought Su Wanyin with Misfortune and Crow's Mouth. He barely won after both of them were injured. When he fought Peng Lian, he was already at the end of his rope. I guess he couldn't use his supernatural ability anymore. Unparalleled Dragon King was very familiar with the scene. He was indeed a human-shaped database. Of course, it's also possible that Lu Qing has the talent to restrain this supernatural ability. Oh, Eternal Nightfall, can I post this video on Weibo? So fun, I want more people to see it. Rolling on the ground laughing expression. All the good names are taken by dogs, said. A smile gradually appeared on Yan Xiaoling's face as she slowly recovered. All the good names have been taken by dogs, immediately posted a Weibo post with the video as the theme and the caption. What an amazing match. Lu Qing, who won by lying down, versus Muyu, who defeated himself. Finally, she tagged a few of her friends on Weibo. Among them, a female ID named Stupid Winter, with an ID of Laughing to Tears, said, "Haha, what a professional performance. There was not a single flaw. He was using his life to put on a show." At Oscar-winning actor, in the martial arts arena of Shanbei University, Fang Zhirong had completely suppressed his opponent. Su Wanyin and Peng Liyun were sitting side by side. They were not interested in this game. They even suspected that they had no chance to play. As the president of the martial arts club, he had to pay attention to his image in front of his classmates. Otherwise, he would have taken out his phone and searched for the match between Lu Qing and Muyu. Could his taste of the starry sky really restrain this supernatural ability? Last November, when he played a trick on him with his corvine mouth, he suffered a backlash. But he had to wait for confirmation. While he was thinking, a mobile phone suddenly appeared in front of him. "Hey junior brother Peng, what's wrong?" Su Wanyin turned to look at Peng Liyun. Peng Liyun smiled and said with a hint of evil interest, "Just watch and you'll know." When he was not in a daze, he was actually a nice person to get along with. Watch. Su Wanyin looked down and found that the screen was showing the video of his fight with Muyu. He held his breath and reached out his right hand to click the play button. What the? *CK. *CK. As the progress bar rolled, Su Wanyin's expression changed again and again. When the video ended, he was stunned until the referee announced Fang Zhirong's victory. "Junior brother Peng, if I meet Lu Qing?" He turned his head to Peng Liyun and said with a sad face, "Can I just admit defeat?" Peng Liyun chuckled, "What do you think?" "Yes." Su Wanyin gasped, "I'm afraid I can't control my mouth. How about this? You guys find a piece of tape and stick it on my mouth?" Beside the arena, Muyu, who was in a daze, finally came back to reality. There was no depression or pain, only confusion and confusion. He carefully got up and glanced at Lu Qing. Then he slowly walked back to the home team seats, afraid that the ground would collapse and create a crater. "Captain, what's going on?" Lin Xiaoji cautiously approached him upon seeing the situation. Muyu thought for a while and said, "My supernatural ability backfired." This was certain, but he wasn't sure why his supernatural ability backfired. How could this happen? Lin Xiaoji frowned and suddenly nodded, "I get it. Because Lu Qing is tough. Curses and misfortune are ineffective, and things that don't succeed will definitely backfire." "What kind of theory is that?" Muyu blurted out in surprise. Lin Xiaoji answered seriously, "Metaphysics theory." Muyu was stunned for a while and then said, "I suspect that Lu Qing has a third supernatural ability that can restrain or even backfire curses and misfortune." "It's possible?" Jean Dali rushed to Lin Xiaoji's side. Seeing the two leading players and the rest of the substitutes surrounding them, Muyu finally got out of his previous mood and apologized with guilt and depression. "I'm sorry, I can't lead you to the national final this year. All the students who dare to join the martial arts club are true love." The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. Lin Xiaoji's eyes reddened. She took a breath and pretended to be heartless. "Captain, we still have the year after next. What are you afraid of? We still have a chance." "Why not next year?" Jean Dali asked blankly. "Isn't it obvious? Next year, Peng Liyun will be in his senior year, Lu Qing and Lin Ke will have matured for another year, and Shanbei and Song will be so strong that it's hopeless. How can we have a chance? The year after next, when Peng Liyun graduates, Lu Qing and Lin Ke will be strong again, but at least we still have a chance to compete for another place." Lin Xiaoji was just making things up, but as she spoke, she revealed her true feelings. "We also want to participate in the national final once. We have to have something to aspire to in our 4 years of university. The problem is, I'm already in my junior year and will graduate the year after next." Muyu interrupted blankly. Lin Xiaoji rolled her eyes and laughed, "Captain, you can't abandon us. Without your misfortune, how can we make it to the national final? How about this? You can apply to delay your graduation. Anyway, you've failed several courses and may not have enough credits. Like other first-class universities, Shannon implemented a credit system. One course was worth 1 to 4 credits. Students were allowed to finish their undergraduate studies in advance. If they didn't have enough credits, they could apply to delay their graduation by 1 or 2 years. Speaking of this, Lin Xiaoji felt sad and angry. She had always done well in her studies, but twice her captain had used his supernatural power of misfortune, which made her even more unlucky. Just as she was reinvigorating the atmosphere, voices suddenly sounded from the stands. They started weak and became louder and eventually merged into a chorus of shouts. Together through thick and thin. Together through thick and thin. Together through thick and thin. Muyu and Lin Xiaoji were stunned. They instinctively looked around, but soon their vision was blurred by the banners. In the sound of "Together through thick and thin," Lu Qing returned to the seats of the away team. The first thing he saw was Xu Rui and the shooting team who were recording the details. He waved his hand in a friendly manner and was about to say hello when he saw Xu Rui's face turn pale. She took a few steps back as if she was afraid of being contaminated. The rest of the shooting team also stepped back, leaving only the cameraman standing there awkwardly. "Qing, you're a god. You won the game without moving your hands, feet, or body." At this time, Kai Zongming gave him a thumbs up to ease the awkwardness. "I was quite confused." Lu Qing walked over with a smile. Kai Zongming quietly took a few steps back and distanced himself from Lu Qing again. "Why are you hiding?" Lu Qing asked in amusement. He saw Yanjika looking at him with both joy and surprise. He already understood that those guys were afraid of being contaminated with misfortune like Muyu. Hee. Kai Zongming smiled without saying anything and shrank to Lin Kei's side. "Are you still a friend?" Lu Qing helplessly stared at Talker. "Not really." Little Ming answered without any sense of shame. Lu Qing was so angry that he almost laughed. He was touched to see his little fairy standing beside him fearlessly. This is true love. At this time he heard his master's voice. "The relic of Longhu Immortal that you got can probably reflect supernatural powers like the crow's mouth of misfortune." This sentence was like a flash of lightning that illuminated the fog in Lu Qing's mind. He suddenly understood what was going on. When he was asleep, the Jin Dan could foresee the approaching danger. When it was balancing itself into the Dan, it incorporated a little of this supernatural power into it. This is the third supernatural power I've awakened, right? Of course, most of the power is provided by the Jin Dan for the time being. What should I call the supernatural powers of tough life and premonition? Son of heaven? Lucky star? While thinking, Lu Qing subconsciously looked at Li Mao, Kai Zongming, and the rest of his teammates. He found that they were still wearing the same expression as before. They had no reaction to his master's words. This is a powerful move. While Lu Qing was sighing with emotion, Yanjika stood on her tiptoes and whispered in his ear, "Qing, did you feel anything strange just now?" Lu Qing explained with a smile, "I've awakened my third supernatural power." It reflected Muyu's misfortune and caused a backlash. "Well, I should say that this supernatural power has been awakened for a long time. I just didn't notice it and didn't know what it was." He told Ko Qian about his encounter with the thief at the train station in a low voice. "I see." Yanjika's eyes lit up with relief and surprise. Then she snorted, "That's so annoying. I thought it was the effect of my luck. I thought I had awakened a supernatural power of good luck. Look, Muyu's backlash is so severe. It must be because of your luck." Lu Qing flattered her and suddenly thought of a question. "Cuckoo, you're not afraid of getting misfortune and took the initiative to welcome me. Is it because you trust me, or because you think your luck is invincible and you don't need to worry about it?" Hee. Yanjika answered with a laugh. After the greeting, Muyu, Lin Xiaoji, and the rest returned to the locker room. Since the captain had suffered a backlash, Lin Xiaoji was much more relaxed. She took off her shoes and went into the bathroom. She took off the amulets one by one and stuffed them into the closet with her clothes. Under the hot water, every cell in her body was screaming for comfort. After applying the shampoo, Lin Xiaoji enjoyed the bath. Just then she saw the light above her flicker a few times and make a buzzing sound. After a short struggle, it finally went out completely. Immediately after, Lin Xiaoji felt that the hot water on her body turned into a bone-piercing cold rain. She turned to look at the closet and felt that the cute amulets were so far away. Chapter 319. The atmosphere in the Shannon University Martial Arts Club was warm but not violent. Lu Qing and the others didn't leave in a hurry like they did when they were escaping from Yimo. Instead, they leisurely celebrated in the locker room for a while, rested for a while, and then slowly packed up their belongings and came out. At this time, the crowd in the gym had dispersed, leaving only a few students lingering around to exercise. Once they saw Lu Qing, their expressions changed and they scattered like birds and beasts, as if they had seen the arrival of the Demon King. Even Muyu, the Bane, was unlucky in front of him, let alone ordinary people like us. Witnessing this scene, Kai Zongming and the others, who already knew that Lu Qing relied on the rebound of his third supernatural ability, couldn't help but laugh out loud. They all looked at the legendary protagonist with ridicule. Lu Qing held Yanjika with one hand and covered his face with the other. He sighed and said, "I feel like a big villain, boss." Needless to say, this was inexplicably satisfying. After a long journey, it was already 8 o'clock when the Songqing University Martial Arts Club members returned to school. Thus, they went back to their respective homes and mothers, taking advantage of the weekend to do laundry, tidy up, and busy themselves with housework. The next day it was the same cycle of morning exercises and special training. In the afternoon, Lu Qing accompanied Yanjika to the first teaching building, intending to find a classroom with fewer people to study by themselves. He slung 2 school bags over his shoulder and looked at the students coming and going. He chuckled softly and said, "Actually, I quite like the way girls carry a few books to class and study by themselves. It's very artistic. I used to do this a lot, but unfortunately someone would take the initiative to snatch my things when he saw me carrying them." Yanjika pursed her lips and turned to look at him with a smile. "I thought it would be troublesome for someone to carry 2 stacks of books, so I put them in the bag. Otherwise, a burly man carrying a few books, that image, ha." As she spoke, she couldn't continue laughing. Lu Cheng's lips curled and hummed in agreement. "That image is too beautiful, I don't dare to look at it. But I don't think I'm burly, I'm more well-proportioned." While talking and laughing, they stepped into the teaching building. Instead of taking the elevator, they went to the 3rd floor to find a suitable place for self-study. After circling around, they finally locked onto their target. They entered a classroom with only a dozen or so people sitting around. They directly chose 2 seats in the last row by the window. There are still so many people studying on Sunday afternoon. The atmosphere in our school is pretty good. Lu Qing recalled the scenes of the other classrooms he had seen before and couldn't help but sigh with emotion in a low voice. "But every time I go back to the dormitory, I see little Ming and Godrin not studying. I feel that our generation of college students is really decadent." Godly Man was none other than Tang Wen. Due to his addiction to games, he had forgotten the date of the exam and failed the original questions of the makeup exam. Talker had given him the nickname Godly Man, which was recognized by everyone in the dormitory. Yanjika took the school bag and stopped her hand in the opening position. She chuckled and said, "This reminds me of a sentence that our marketing teacher often said. The results of a survey only depend on the choice of sample. For example, if you want to praise a university's study style, you should focus on the students studying in the teaching building and the library. If you want to criticize, you should go to the dormitory, the lakeside, or the martial arts arena." She controlled the volume of her voice so as not to disturb the other students' self-study. Of course, with her and Lu Cheng's current good hearing, such a low volume wouldn't affect the conversation at all at such a distance. While talking, Yanjika opened the school bag and took out thick books, corresponding references, half-filled notes, a notebook for making drafts, and a stationery bag with a picture of a pink pig. Lu Qing also took out the textbook of discrete mathematics, detailed examples borrowed from the library, notes for writing key points, a notebook for calculation, a pencil, a pen, and an eraser. They put these on the table almost at the same time. The positions and order were almost the same, as if they were copying each other. After they finished, they looked at each other and smiled tacitly. The sun shone in through the window and the scenery was just right. Just as Lu Cheng was about to turn the page, Yanjika suddenly rested her chin on her left hand and looked at him with half of her face. "Ching, don't you think it's boring?" "What do you mean boring?" Lu Cheng was confused. That's right. Yanjika rolled her eyes and bit her teeth. "Every time you have to study with me, you don't have time to go on a date. Do you think this is boring? Other people's relationships probably aren't like ours, right?" "That's it?" Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. "Of course not. After all, I was once addicted to studying. For me, the spiritual satisfaction of solving a difficult problem is no less than fighting in an ordinary challenge tournament. Besides, I have a lot of specialized courses. In order to not fail my course, I have to study more by myself. Isn't this a date? With you, everything is a date." He had lowered his requirements in study, from graduating with honors to graduating without failing a course. After all, it was difficult to have the best of both worlds. A person's energy was limited. Meat numb? Yenjika scolded, lowered her eyes and chuckled. She lowered her voice again. Actually, I like the way we are now. During self-study, when she occasionally looked up and saw Cheng's face and felt his presence, everything would become so warm and comfortable. Me too. Lu Cheng emphasized. Yenjika rolled her eyes and showed her dimples. Really? Do you really like it? Do you like it very much? Yes, I like it very much. Lu Cheng said without hesitation. Since you like it very much, we won't go out on a date in the future. I'll study with you when I'm free. Yenjika straightened her body and made the decision happily. Lu Cheng opened his mouth wide. These two things can't be mixed together. Before he finished his words, he saw the girl's eyes were bright, her mouth was pursed, and her lips were curved. It seemed that she was trying very hard to hold back her laughter. I feel like I've been tricked by you again? Lu Cheng covered his face and sighed. Hee hee. Yenjika lay down and released her laughter into her arms. Her shoulders were shaking and her hair was hanging lightly. She was very happy. After such a beginning, both of them were in a good mood and the efficiency of self-study seemed to have increased a lot. After reading a chapter on discrete mathematics and doing the corresponding exercises, Lu Cheng was satisfied with the solution of the problem and felt a little dizzy, so he decided to take a 10-minute break to relax for a while. This course is really difficult. It is said that the failure rate is very high. Lu Cheng stared at the textbook for a few seconds and sighed. Then he turned his head to look at Yenjika and saw that she was calculating something. She looked very focused and her eyes were deep. Sometimes she frowned, sometimes she pouted, sometimes she smiled, and sometimes she pursed her lips. She had an intoxicating beauty. Lu Cheng looked at her with a smile. He looked at her long black eyelashes fluttering like a fan. He looked at her lively eyes and her delicate cheeks. What are you looking at? Do what you want to do. Go play with your phone. Yenjika couldn't focus under his gaze. She scolded in a low voice and hit him lightly. Lu Cheng smiled and took out his phone. He unlocked the screen and planned to relax by browsing the forum. The first post that caught his eyes was from, "All the good names are taken by dogs." Haha, I'm in the headlines. No, the video I reposted has become a hot topic. What video? Lu Cheng followed the link in the post and clicked on Weibo. He saw Lu Cheng who won by lying down versus Muyu who defeated himself. As the video of the competition was extremely funny, it attracted a lot of people to repost it. It actually caused an explosive spread effect. In less than a day there were already more than 10,000 reposts and nearly 10,000 comments. The number of people who viewed it was even more uncountable. Lu Cheng watched it from the perspective of a bystander. He was also very happy and sympathized with Old Man Mu. Aha, I may have played a fake game. He read the comments while laughing. He was waiting for Yenjika to finish the problem so that he could share the most interesting part with her. Good actor. Strong actor. I'm going to laugh with this video this year. Haha, my mom asked me why I was kneeling and looking at the computer. Amazing and perfect. Lu Cheng, who was standing in the middle, was dumbfounded. As he read, he found a few IDs with a lot of likes. One was Shannon Muyu, one was Old Man Mu, one was Calamity Muyu, one was Songqing Lu Cheng, and one was Warrior Lu Cheng. Songqing Lu Cheng said with emotion, I was dumbfounded. This is the first time I've seen such a game. Warrior Lu Cheng accused Songqing Lu Cheng. This is fake. It's a new account. It's obviously fake. You said on Weibo that you were in the capital. So Songqing University has moved to the capital? Songqing Lu Cheng retorted. Motherf***, who is this? I didn't register. Lu Cheng was stunned for a while. He felt like he had met Li Gui. These guys must have changed their names to gain popularity and gain attention. At this moment, Yenjika's phone flashed and a message came in. She just solved the previous problem and felt good. She picked it up and found it was a message from Yen Xiaoling. Senior sister, let Lu Cheng register a Weibo account. Let's support him. There are so many imposters now. That video is popular. It's the video of his fight with Old Man Mu. Yenjika almost didn't understand what she was saying. She reorganized her words and understood what was going on. She turned her head and said, Cheng, do you know about the video on Weibo? The video of your fight with Muyu. Yes, I'm watching it. 3 guys are impersonating me and accusing each other. Lu Cheng was so angry that he laughed. The 3 guys were arguing so much that they had tens of thousands of followers. At Shannon University, Lin Xiaoji stood on the balcony and called Muyu. Captain, look at Weibo. You're popular. Zhu. Yes, it's not a good thing. Muyu was already blushing because of the ridicule. It's a good thing to have attention. Maybe you can become a verified account in the future and make money from this. Achu, quick, change your literary name to yourself. We'll go and prove that you're real. Lin Xiaoji urged. Damn it. I'm a professional ninth pin with strong qi and blood. How could I catch a cold just by taking a cold shower? The heavens didn't open their eyes. You have to believe in metaphysics. Lu Qing and Yan Zhika were in a good mood. They even enjoyed watching the three imposters quarrel for a while. Suddenly Lu Cheng's phone vibrated. He picked it up and lowered his voice. Senior sister? It was Shi Yuejian. Shi Yuejian laughed and said, I saw the video. It's funny. You should register a Weibo account. Don't let others take advantage of your popularity. I have. Lu Qing answered with his mouth twitching. His previous Weibo account was just for browsing. He didn't post much and his name was so Chunibyu. You have? What's your name? Why didn't I find it? Those look wrong. Shi Yuejian asked. Lu Qing covered his face and was too embarrassed to speak. Back then he liked to read fantasy novels, so his Weibo username was Dong Huang Tai. Currently, other than the zombie account, there was only one other account that followed him, and that was his little fairy's Weibo username, Sword Don't Drink. Her QQ username had also been changed to Ku. I'll change it right away. I'll text you when it's done. Lu Qing skipped the first step. Okay, I'll verify it for you. Shi Yuejian hung up the phone. Lu Qing changed the name from Dong Huang Tai to Lu Cheng. After thinking for a while, he added 129. 129. Yan Zhika murmured as she watched him work. Her dimples appeared on her face and her smile was charming. She felt sweet in her heart. It was her birthday. Hee hee. Lu Qing smiled and didn't say anything. The change was approved and he sent the name to his senior sister. Before long, Shi Yuejian of Weiwei Club, who had tens of millions of followers, forwarded the Weibo of all the good names are taken by dogs and added a paragraph. It's a very fun game. Lu Qing 129, my little junior brother. Chapter 320. Shi Yuejian's seemingly ordinary Weibo post immediately caused a sensation. The words, yes, my junior brother, shocked many people. They forwarded and commented on it one after another. It's going to be big news. So Lu Qing is your junior brother, heroine sure. No wonder he could reach 8th pin in 1 year and win the youth tournament of Xing province. He's a strong competitor for the favored son of God. No wonder Lu Qing is also a direct disciple of a big sect. Zhang Zhutong and Han Zhifei deserve to lose. Can't you guys have a better attitude? It's not like only the direct disciples of big sects and forces can become the favored son of God. It should be the other way around. The favored son of God must become the direct disciples of big sects and forces. Even if one of them doesn't have eyes, they can't all be blind. The comment above came from Unparalleled Dragon King, of course, the one in Lu Cheng's fan forum. The real Dragon King used his real name on Weibo, Dragon King Chen Chitao. Unparalleled Dragon King's comment made Yi Yaoting, who was browsing the comments, feel ashamed. Just now, when she saw Shi Yuejian's Weibo post, she spontaneously came up with the same idea as some of the comments. No wonder I lost to Lu Qing. No wonder he can always create miracles and surpass me and all the other mighty ones I know. It's because he has an extraordinary background and is a direct disciple of the Ice God sect. And I just reached Dan stage recently and successfully joined Xuanwu sect. And I don't have a master of physical invulnerability. When she saw Unparalleled Dragon King's rebuke, she felt that every word was piercing her heart and broke out in cold sweat. My attitude just now was very dangerous. As a fighter, I can't whitewash failure and find excuses. I have to admit defeat but not admit defeat. She looked down and continued reading the reposts and comments. Wow, Lu Qing is your junior brother. No wonder I always thought highly of him. Junior brother is not bad. I remember he just won the championship, right? That's right. Except for 24 blizzard strikes, Lu Qing hasn't used many moves of the Ice sect before. Well, in that case, it's been almost 4 months since Lu Qing entered the Dan stage. As the heroine's junior brother, it's impossible that he hasn't practiced some unique skills of the Ice sect. Oh my, I'm looking forward to his duel with Peng Liyun and Ren Li more and more. Heroine, quickly let your little junior brother tell us how he feels. Are you very confused when facing such a high-level actor? Was he laughing like a fool? Lu Qing swiped his thumb and leaned his head against Yanzhika's as he looked at his senior sister's Weibo. When he was satisfied with the likes and exited, he suddenly found that Lu Qing 129 had more than 20,000 followers, and it was still rising. The advertising effect is not bad. Yanzhika turned her eyes and joked. Most of them are just here to watch the show. 99% of them are not my fans. Lu Qing was very clear-headed and rational. The number of followers on his forum was still far from reaching 10,000. Although he said that, he was still a little excited. Do you think I should post something on Weibo? What should I send? Just be yourself. Yanzhika looked at him and said with a smile. That's right. I'm a martial artist. I don't have to rely on fans to make a living. Why should I spend so much effort to create a good image for myself? Just do what you want. Lu Qing made up his mind and nodded solemnly. Listening to Coach Yen is better than studying for 10 years. Liar. You've listened to hundreds or thousands of words from me, but I don't see you as smart as someone who has studied for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Yanzhika pretended to be serious and laughed softly. I'm actually speechless. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. His fingers moved and reposted his senior sister's Weibo post with the following words. Thank you, senior sister, for your recognition. Laughing and crying, I was really confused at that time. I suspected that Muyu was using some big move that didn't distinguish between friend and foe, so I didn't dare to act rashly. Later, I realized that it was the backlash of his supernatural ability, misfortune. Less than a few seconds after he clicked send, he immediately saw a red circle at the bottom of the post. He found that there was already a comment. When he entered, he saw that it was from an ID called Little Mouse in the Alley. There were only 2 words in the comment. Like me. This is fighting for the front row. Lu Qing refreshed the page and saw that there were a few more comments and reposts. Eternal Nightfall said, Tiger touch my Lu Qing. Close-up photo. Brahmin 001 inch said, Idol look at me. Waving. My hair is much longer said, reporting. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a smiling cat head, then what should I say? The Longhu Club Forum sightseeing group is here? Yanzhika couldn't help but smile. She took the initiative to help refresh the page and saw that behind the familiar ID was a large number of unfamiliar followers. If she hadn't reminded Yan Shaoling in advance, the fans of the forum wouldn't have been able to stand in the front row. I don't want to hear, I'm just a fan of the acting Muyu. It's the backlash of supernatural ability? Bane, that's a cool name. When Lu Qing and Yanzhika were browsing the follow-up comments, a well-known user reposted his Weibo post. Mo Jingting, who had tens of millions of followers, said, My awesome junior master. In a classroom on the 4th floor of the number 1 teaching building, Qiu Zhigao finished a homework by himself. He stretched himself and wanted to relax. He browsed the news of Mo Jingting's official fan club and was looking forward to the concert on Tuesday. While scrolling, he suddenly saw a fan saying, Quick. Little sister has posted a new Weibo post, everyone go and like it. What did Jingting post? Old Qiu clicked on the link and opened the Weibo. Her awesome junior master? Who is that? Qiu Zhigao looked down with interest and noticed that the username of the user that Mo Jingting had reposted was Lu Qing 129. Haha, the same name as Jingting's awesome junior master is also called Lu Qing, what a coincidence. Qiu Zhigao clicked on Lu Qing 129 and entered his homepage. He saw the introduction. Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General. Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General? What a coincidence, the same name as Qing. Wait. Qiu Zhigao's eyes froze on these few words. *CK, could he be the Lu Qing I know? He is Jingting's junior master? Lu Qing and Yanzhika also noticed Mo Jingting's repost, because the number of followers on his Weibo account had increased by more than 50,000 and was rapidly approaching 100,000. He could be called a VIP account now. I've received too much attention at my age. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry and made a self-deprecating remark. What does martial niece Mo mean? It's not necessarily a good thing for her to reveal her background and identity. Besides, it's annoying to have too much popularity and too much attention. Lu Qing wasn't ready to become a real celebrity yet. He wanted to participate in competitions, earn money, and fight with strong opponents to reach the peak of martial arts. He wanted to be respected daily and not worry about being disturbed in his life. Others can't even ask for it. Yanzhika said with a faint smile, this is also a sign of goodwill, right? But I don't like this kind of goodwill. Lu Qing sighed. It's enough for her. Well, those who don't know about the internal affairs of the Ice God sect will think that she has a good relationship with you. As long as you can keep improving and becoming stronger, her Weibo post won't be in vain. Yan Zhika rolled her eyes and analyzed Emo Jingting's thoughts. Unless you post a Weibo post specifically against her. But I don't think you're capable of doing that, Qing. At this moment, Lu Cheng's phone vibrated with a message. Martial niece Emo said in a weak voice, Junior Master, I reposted your post in a moment of excitement. Did it cause you any trouble? Well, as expected, she did it first and then apologized. Lu Qing showed it to Coach Yan and pondered for a while before replying, It's a little troublesome. Don't do it again. Just don't do it again. Seeing the content, Yanjika couldn't help but laugh. She pursed her lips and teased, You're really like a junior master. You sound like an old man. Soon, Mo Jingting sent another message, Junior Master, you're so kind and broad-minded. I won't do it again. I promise. You've achieved your goal. Of course, you don't have to do it again. Lu Qing complained in his heart. He was about to put down his phone and concentrate on self-study. At this moment, Yanjika bit her lower lip and took the initiative to say, Ask her when she's free before and after the concert. As the host, we still have to entertain her. It's troublesome to go out of school. If the time isn't suitable, we won't invite her. We'll just go to the concert. If it weren't for the fact that he was looking forward to a date, Lu Qing would have even skipped the rest of the matter. Hearing his answer, Yanjika's expression relaxed. She said with a smile, I just praised you for being a junior master. You're ignoring your martial niece just because of a little trouble? There are very few people who can make me not care about trouble, not including her. Lu Qing responded with a smile and took the opportunity to make another confession. Diske, your sweet-talking skill has leveled up again? Yanjika turned her head and laughed, her eyes shining. How can it be called sweet-talking from the heart? Lu Qing said shamelessly. He also sent a message to Mo Jingting, asking when she was free to entertain. Mo Jingting seemed to have been holding the phone all the time. She quickly replied, Thank you, Junior Master. I know you can't come out during school hours. Besides, aren't you coming to the concert on Tuesday? I can't let you come again and again. How about this, I'll come to your school tomorrow afternoon. Just treat me to the cafeteria. It's a specialty of Songqing. You can't find it anywhere else. Cafeteria? Lu Qing and Yanjika looked at each other. They didn't expect Mo Jingting to be so considerate. She's not going to play any tricks, is she? Lu Qing frowned and whispered. No, unless she really wants to force you to fall out with her. Yanjika pondered and said, She's probably showing her considerate side after achieving her goal. Lu Qing nodded slightly and typed on the keyboard, Our cafeteria is not good. Be careful not to have a stomachache and affect the concert. He thought it was better to be decent and planned to book the Chinese restaurant in school. Junior Master, I'm a fighter of professional 9th pin. I'm in good health. How can I have a stomachache? Anyway, you make the decision. You make the decision. Mo Jingting didn't insist. Looking at her cute words, Yanjika's eyelids twitched. She felt uncomfortable and suddenly regretted being so generous and polite. She should have let Qing completely ignore her. Lu Qing replied coldly to Mo Jingting, Okay, text me before you arrive. After sending, he put down the phone and sighed. He turned to Yanjika and smiled bitterly, I don't know why, but when I see her acting cute to me, I feel a little uncomfortable, even nauseous. Maybe this is forced acting cute and malicious acting cute? The reason was probably because Mo Jingting's image in his mind was a scheming girl who was not suitable for acting cute. Yanjika couldn't help but laugh. The previous haze was swept away. At this moment, Lu Qing received 2 messages from Qiu Zhigao and Qin Mo. Qing, I'm kneeling to you. Accept my kneeling. Brother Qing, my dear brother, take me to see Jingting. Chapter 321. These two. Lu Qing cursed under his breath and replied to old Qiu, You don't have to kneel down. It's none of my business. You should kneel down to my master, Coach Shi of the martial arts club. He happens to be the junior of Mo Jingting's master's master. He explained the origin of their relationship with a tongue twister. Before he could exit the dialogue, Qiu Zhigao sent another message with a blinking emoji. Is she as beautiful as she is on TV? Some stars were too horrible to look at in real life. I say, don't you find it disgusting for a burly man like you to use this kind of expression and weak tone? His roommates were used to teasing each other. Lu Qing replied with a vomiting emoji and added, It's okay. It's about the same. Mo Jingting was in the prime of her life. She didn't need to rely on external decorations. What's her real personality like? Old Xiao didn't care about Lu Cheng's previous words and continued to ask. Lu Cheng thought for a while and typed quickly. She's quite cheerful and extroverted. Of course she was also quite scheming. But there was no need to tell old Xiao. He wouldn't have any contact with Mo Jingting at all. It was better to let him keep his beautiful memories. Besides, it wasn't good to talk behind someone's back. It wasn't like they were dating, so there was no need to hide anything. Just like her usual performance. Qiu Zhigao replied excitedly. Lu Cheng ignored him and exited the chat box. He opened Qin Mo's message and sent an emoji. As the saying goes, it's better to hear than to see. Let the beauty of your imagination remain in your imagination. Once it becomes reality, you will be disappointed. He declined Qin Mo's request to see Mo Jingting. Firstly, it was a matter of courtesy. It was disrespectful to bring Qin Mo along without greeting him. Secondly, he didn't want to owe a favor to this unpredictable martial niece. Speak human. Do you think the realistic Mo Jingting will disappoint me? Then let me ask you, is she as pretty as she is on TV? Are her eyes still so special? Is she still so lively and cheerful? Is she good at acting cute? Qin Mo asked. These are quite suitable. Lu Cheng didn't go against his conscience. But other aspects have nothing to do with me. I'm not going to take her as my wife. I'm just fantasizing about her. Why do I have to care so much? Looks like I won't be disappointed. Qin Mo replied with a disdainful expression. Beast. Lu Cheng was speechless. You're not a real fan. At 9:30 p.m. Lu Cheng sent Yanjika back to her dormitory. While thinking about the arrangements for her birthday, he returned to dormitory 302 Unit 2 Building 7. As soon as he pushed the door open, he saw Qiu Zhigao and Qin Mo sitting on the sofa. In front of them was a TV showing a martial arts competition. You're not playing games? Lu Cheng asked in surprise. Qin Mo immediately put on a smile and pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses. I'm tired and hungry. Cheng, do you want to have supper with me? It's my treat. I call barbecue. At this time, the cafeterias and shops in the school were all closed. However, there was a town nearby, and the students had a takeout app. Besides, the new campus of Songqing University was not separated by a wall. Instead, it was in the form of iron railings. With the railings, there would be space for food boxes to be delivered. Of course, there was no need for large food boxes. There was once a student who was greedy and ordered dozens of RMB fish with pickled cabbage and chili. The restaurant owner was dumbfounded and directly put it in a large plastic box. However, the delivery boy couldn't get it over the railings. The student was so anxious that he even wanted to eat on the spot. The food was outside, but he was inside. He was crying while eating. However, this incident had a happy ending. The delivery boy was good at martial arts. He carried the food box over the railings and didn't spill a single bit. It taught the majority of students that it was not wrong to have some martial arts skills. No, it's okay. It'll disturb my sleep at this time. Lu Cheng politely declined. Well, we'll eat by ourselves. Qiu Zhigao smiled. I've got some hot water for you. You don't have to come again. Don't be like this. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Lu Cheng didn't respond politely. Instead, he directly scolded them jokingly. Isn't it because we want to take advantage of young martial uncle's glory? Qin Mo joked. Cheng, I don't ask for much. Just get some autographs for me. Old Qiu said shyly. Okay. If there's a chance. Lu Cheng shook his head with a smile. I'm a VIP, but I don't see you guys trying to curry favor with me. At the end of the afternoon class the next day, Lu Cheng received a message from Mo Jingting. Young martial uncle, I'm on the school bus. Okay, we'll pick you up at the bus station. Lu Cheng emphasized the word, we, and sent the message that Mo Jingting was already on the school bus to Yanjika. Yanjika replied with an obedient sitting posture, I'm in the dormitory. I'm tidying up. You can wait for me at the door of the dormitory. Not a Chanxiao. A thought flashed through Lu Cheng's mind. He replied amusedly, okay. Yanjika is quite serious. She even went back to tidy herself up. Well, she once said that girls are more cautious when they see other girls than boys. More than 20 minutes later, Lu Cheng, who was waiting at the door of the third building, saw the arrival of the little fairy again. Yanjika had put on light makeup and dressed up to highlight her gentle and delicate side. She was really elegant and refined, and her eyes were shining brightly. What are you looking at? Let's go. Yenjika pouted and said in a low voice. Lu Qing retracted his gaze and held her soft hand. He laughed and said, I'm looking at a little fairy. Even though he saw Yenjika every day, he was still shocked. Unfortunately, it was rare to see such a serious face twice. Humph. Yenjika turned her head and looked up. Her lips curled up, but she didn't say anything. The two of them walked forward, attracting a lot of attention. The dark winter evening seemed to be dyed with a layer of light. They didn't wait long at the bus station before they saw Mo Jingting walking to the entrance of the school bus. She was wearing sunglasses that covered half of her face. In the winter evening she looked so bright and eye-catching. She seemed to have put a lot of thought into her appearance. Before they left the school bus, Mo Jingting's eyes caught Yenjika's. As a girl she was also a bit stunned. In this aspect Yenjika was relatively better. After all, she often saw Yenjika on TV in various styles. Yenjika only felt a little grief and indignation about how good it was to be tall. Then she pursed her lips and smiled gently, looking back at Yenjika. Their eyes met. Lu Qing, who was ignored, seemed to hear a sound in the air. Let's go to the restaurant first. It's not convenient to talk here. He took the initiative to step forward and said first. Under the gaze of the passing students, Lu Qing and Yenjika walked in front hand in hand. Mo Jingting was half a step behind, looking at their intertwined fingers with great interest. After entering the small private room of the Academy restaurant, when all the dishes were served, the door closed and no one disturbed them, Mo Jingting took off her sunglasses. She looked at Lu Qing and Yenjika with her misty and affectionate eyes and said, No wonder little martial uncle never looked sideways. It's because he has such a beautiful girlfriend. How should I call you? I should call you little martial aunt, but it feels weird. Makes you sound old. Yenjika. Just call me Jika. Yenjika smiled politely with her dimples. Are you a disciple of Shushan study? Mo Jingting asked curiously, resting her chin on one hand. Kind of. How did you know? Yenjika opened her mouth and was surprised. My surname is Yen and I live in Shushan. The yin-yang twist is not easy to distinguish from the outside. Even if she could find my school records, it would be hard for her to link me to Shushan study. Mo Jingting smiled sweetly and glanced at Lu Qing. My youngest uncle told me. I didn't say that. Lu Qing denied without waiting for Yenjika to look at him. Shouldn't normal people think about whether they said it before? Little martial uncle, your reaction is wrong. Mo Jingting felt that this was completely different from what she had expected. How do you know you didn't say it? What if it's easy to say? Yenjika turned to look at her boyfriend with a faint smile on her face. Lu Qing coughed and said, My master said it. The conversation left a deep impression on me, so I remembered it immediately. He said that I don't need to join the Wuxia club in the future. He would be happy to see me become a guest of the Longhu club or marry into Shushan study. He deliberately said it as it was to make his little fairy laugh. Marry into Shushan study? You said it as if you were going to marry my brother? Yenjika couldn't help but laugh. She turned her head and raised her neck. Her rosy cheeks and sparkling eyes made her shy and coquettish. Then she joked and changed the topic. This topic seemed to be more fun, making her tremble with laughter. It's so funny. Looking at Yenjika and Lu Qing showing off their affection, Mo Jingting, who had completely become a background, picked up the teacup and took a sip. She felt like she had been fed dog food, lonely with the end of the bitter rain. I shouldn't have come, she thought helplessly. At the same time, she understood what she had done wrong and why little martial uncle's attitude was so cold. They were in the honeymoon period and couldn't tolerate outsiders. Flirting with him would only make him feel disgusted, and once that happened, the more you tried to please him, the more annoyed he would be. I should have used a silent method. I didn't really want to let him take advantage of me. It might be better to be a real martial nephew. With a change of mind, her attitude also changed. She took the initiative to talk to Yenjika and then to Lu Qing. She had been in the entertainment circle for several years. Although some of her ideas were not as mature as Yenjika's and sometimes not rational enough, in terms of communication skills, she was far better than the two who lacked practice. When the topic was led to the secrets of other stars in the circle, both Lu Qing and Yenjika lowered their vigilance and listened with great interest. The meal was very harmonious. This was not the news of an entertainment reporter, but the ridicule of a big star in the circle. Everyone has a heart for gossip. I didn't expect him to be a bottom in private. When mentioning a certain male star, Yenjika suddenly realized and was shocked. In this industry there are so many things that both men and women are used to it. It would be strange if there wasn't a lot of dirty things. Mo Jingting sighed. If I didn't have the background of the sect, and if the sect was involved in this circle with some industries and power, I don't know if I could resist the temptation and coercion. While speaking, she looked at Yan Zhika and Lu Qing pitifully. She did not expect them to promise her anything. She only wanted to leave an impression. When the time came and little martial uncle had the strength of a high-ranked Dan stage or even physical invulnerability, he would have a strong voice in the sect. Maybe then she could win sympathy and help. Lu Qing did not promise anything carelessly. He just sighed about the chaos in the entertainment circle. Mo Jingting gathered her emotions and continued to talk about interesting things. She also continued to bear with the couple's affectionate display from time to time. At the end of the conversation, she took out a few tickets from her purse and pushed them to Lu Qing and Yan Zhika. Little martial uncle Zhika, these are the tickets for the VIP section of the concert. She covered her mouth and chuckled. She added, you are not in the circle. If we directly invite you to the VIP section, you will feel uncomfortable and will disturb your date. It is better to give you the tickets for the good seats. Thank you. 2 tickets are enough for us. Others have enough. Lu Qing said politely. Little martial uncle, you are my elder. It would be too much for me to say thank you. Mo Jingting teased. Others? Do you know any friends who are my fans? Quite a few. Lu Qing changed his mind and helped old Chiu and Qin Mo get autographs. Mo Jingting smiled and took out a sticky note. She tore off 2 pieces and signed her name, one for Qin Mo and one for Qiu Zhigao. It looks much better than your signature. Yan Zhika took a look at it and said to her boyfriend, it looks much better than your signature. I don't rely on this for a living. Lu Qing smiled and kept the note. He waited until Mo Jingting put on a pair of plain glasses before calling the waiter to pay the bill. After sending the superstar who had changed her attitude to the school bus, Lu Qing and Yan Zhika looked at each other and exhaled at the same time. I feel more tired than fighting in a competition, Yan Zhika said half emotionally and half coquettishly. An undercurrent of war between girls? Do you want me to help you rub your temples? Lu Qing suggested with a smile. With you here she is more obedient. This is good. Well, she is a very smart girl. Yan Zhika nodded to herself. They chatted for a while and sat on a nearby bench. Of course it was the girl who took out the tissue. Lu Qing habitually took out a few to wipe the surface of the chair. How many tickets are there in total? Yan Zhika asked casually. Lu Qing rubbed her temples and thought for a while. 4 tickets, 2 for us and 2 for the rest. You can ask your roommates if they want. Old Xiao and Beast both have tickets. Okay. Yan Zhika took out her phone and asked Li Liantong and the others. Li Liantong answered with grief and indignation that she really wanted to go, but Tuesday night was a very important professional class. She couldn't skip it and it was the same for Shi Xiangyang. Therefore their first concert experience was postponed. Zhong Yinru was Mo Jingting's anti-fan and hated her very much. She wouldn't betray her principles for the concert. I don't want to go. You better give it to old Xiao and Qin Mo. This seat is much better. Or give it to Talker. Yan Zhika suggested. Okay. Lu Qing began to look forward to the grateful expressions of old Xiao and the others. On the school bus, Mo Jingting withdrew her smile and calmed down. She was in a daze for a while. She picked up her phone and checked the name Yan Zhika. Then she asked a friend in the circle of Jianghu, do you know which senior in Shushan study Yan Zhika is a disciple of? Yan Zhika? Her surname is Yan. I have never heard of her. Let me ask for you. The friend didn't know either. After a few minutes he said solemnly, she is the granddaughter of the grand elders of Shushan study, Heaven-leaning sword Ji Jianzhang and 7 luminary star, Do Ning. Heaven-leaning sword? 7 luminary star. Mo Jingting's pupils shrank. Her wrist shook and the phone fell to the ground. After taking a walk by the lake, Lu Qing watched Yan Zhika enter the 3rd dormitory with satisfaction. Then he returned to the dormitory in the dark. He happened to see Qin Mo and old Xiao in the living room discussing the concert tomorrow night. Here are the signatures you asked for. He smiled and handed over 2 pieces of sticky notes. Autograph? Old Xiao took a look and blurted out in surprise, Jingting's autograph so soon? Qin Mo, on the other hand, thought deeper and asked in surprise, you went to see her? How could you ask for her autograph if you haven't seen her? She is my martial niece. Since she is in Songqing, I have to entertain her. Ku and I just treated her to a meal. Lu Qing answered frankly. Master Cheng, how could you forget to take me? Qin Mo looked sad and angry. Qiu Zhigao was also surprised and regretful. I once had such a good opportunity in front of me, but I actually missed it just like that. I don't want to be disturbed. Lu Qing pushed the reason to Mo Jingting and took out 2 VIP tickets. She gave them to you. Take them. The seats are better. Then I won't stand on ceremony. I will kneel to you later. Please accept my kneel. Qiu Zhigao was not pretentious. Chinamo was first happy and then angry. If I knew you had them, I wouldn't have been scammed by that scalper. Damn it, do you want to know how much he sold me? How much? Money was not the point. The point was the tone. I don't want to know at all. Lu Qing laughed and said, you can ask Tucker and Chang if they want your tickets. Another day passed. In the evening, Lu Qing issued a certificate in the name of the club and bought a ticket to the old campus. He took Yanzhika, Qiu Zhigao, Qinamo, Zhao Chang and Kai Zongming to Mo Jingting's concert. What a rare experience of skipping class. Yanzhika looked out of the window at the teaching building behind her. She was a little emotional and a little excited to do bad things. It's all because of Cheng. Lu Qing leaned over and hugged her waist. He deliberately reminded her, you will definitely be discovered if you skip class. How can the teacher not notice when there is a bright spot missing in the classroom? Unlike me, the teacher can't tell the difference when there are too many people. This is the disadvantage of being good-looking. Yanzhika hit him lightly. I'm not stupid. I've already written the leave request. Don't worry. Thank you. She had asked Ru to help her hand in the leave request. She believed that the kind teacher would not say anything. Besides, it was not a professional class. This is the advantage of being good-looking. Outside the Songqing Martial Arts Stadium, there were crowds of people. Some were selling tickets, flowers and light sticks. Yanzhika had only participated in one fan gathering, so she had never experienced such an occasion before. She was quite excited. She looked around and walked around wanting to buy and try everything just like a child. Ching, let's buy some light sticks. How can we not wave them at the concert? Ching, that cake looks delicious. Ching, follow me closely. If you get lost, I won't care about you. Lu Qing held the girl's hand with a loving smile. He let her wander around and taste all kinds of junk food with her. The concert was not the point. The point was the date. When they were about to enter the stadium, a kid selling flowers came to Lu Qing and said, Brother, buy a bunch of flowers for sister. She's so beautiful. Hearing his words, Lu Qing was immediately tempted. He planned to take out his wallet and buy a few. At this time, Yanzhika pursed her lips and held his wrist. No, I don't like this kind of flowers. We're about to enter the stadium. Let's go. With Kochian's insistence, Lu Qing put away his thoughts and walked forward quickly. He got rid of the kid and asked in a low voice, What's wrong? Although it's a little expensive, he's right. You're so beautiful. You should have flowers to set you off. Yanzhika puffed up her cheeks and said, They take advantage of men's heroic mentality. Humph, I don't like others to treat you like a sucker. She acted like a tigress protecting her cub. Lu Qing felt warm in his heart and smiled even more. In the concert, Mo Jingting did not cause any trouble. She did her job as a singer. Lu Qing and Yanzhika were familiar with many of her songs. They sang along from time to time, waved their light sticks, or recorded a video as a souvenir. The two of them enjoyed themselves and were having a great time. Your face is so big. My face looks smaller when I take a selfie with you. After the concert, Yanzhika walked out of the stadium. She took out her phone and looked at the photo of them while breathing in the cold night wind. It's small to begin with. Lu Qing spread his fingers and covered Yanzhika's face to make a comparison. He looked around, coughed and said, That's right. At this time the school bus has already stopped. Old Xiu said he's going to stay at Qin Mo's house for the night. Are we going to stay out tonight too? This was what he had been thinking and looking forward to since he decided to come to the concert. Yeah. Yanzhika nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Then you should book a car. What kind of answer is this? Lu Qing was stunned. Yanzhika, you don't play by the rules. What's wrong? We can still go back at this time. It's still too early to turn off the lights. Yanzhika blinked, her eyes clear. Okay. Lu Qing put away his distracting thoughts and booked a car. He muttered in his heart, I hate online car hailing. Although there were many people who wanted to take a taxi after the concert, and although Lu Qing was silently praying that no one would respond, Kochian's luck was unbeatable. In a few minutes, a driver took the order. It was a long way to the new campus of Songqing University, so it cost a lot. What should we do? I'm a little excited thinking about climbing over the wall to enter the school. While waiting for the car, Yanzhika held both of Lu Qing's hands and laughed excitedly. So far, I haven't done such a bad thing. Seeing her blushing face and sparkling eyes, Lu Cheng's regret and disappointment disappeared. He laughed in a low voice and said, "We're a duo doing bad things." It seemed to be quite interesting to do bad things with a fairy. The car was fast at night. Half an hour later, under the bright moon in the sky, Lu Cheng led Yan Zhika to a surveillance blind spot. Facing the high guardrail, he chuckled and said, "I'll go up first. I'll pull you up later." "Yes, yes." Yan Zhika nodded solemnly, her eyes sparkling. Lu Cheng supported himself with his hands and feet. Like a big bird, he steadily landed on the top of the guardrail and didn't move an inch. He bent down, held Yan Zhika's outstretched hands, and pulled them up when she used her strength to push the guardrail. Yan Zhika soared into the air and stood firm. She looked left and right and sighed with emotion. "It's so fun." She stepped forward happily, slightly opened her arms and walked on the balance beam. Her feet staggered on the guardrail as she moved forward. It seemed to be wobbly, but in fact it was very stable. Lu Cheng put one hand in his pocket and followed behind her. The girl's beautiful back, shiny black hair, lively posture, and the bright moon in the sky reflected each other, shining into his heart. He memorized the scene carefully, then smiled and stepped hard on his left foot. Yan Zhika was about to change her footsteps when the guardrail suddenly shook. She lost her center of gravity and was about to fall. She didn't scream, but subconsciously moved her spine and pulled her muscles, trying to stand up straight. At this moment, she felt an arm around her waist and was easily pulled back into a familiar embrace. "You're so naughty." Yan Zhika woke up and hit Lu Cheng with annoyance, amusement, and excitement. However, before she finished her words, her lips were sealed. Yan Zhika glanced at the ground on both sides of the guardrail. She slowly closed her eyes like she was in a dream and hugged Lu Cheng back. A cloud floated in the sky, temporarily covering the moon. Yan Zhika walked briskly into the dormitory. She stopped outside and touched her face to make sure the flush had faded. Then she pushed the door and entered. "Hey Ku, why are you back?" Li Liantong turned her head in surprise. "Why can't I come back?" Yan Zhika was confused. "If you go to a concert, you'll definitely miss the night school bus. At this time, the men will suggest to stay in a hotel for a night and come back the next day. Well, they'll get 2 rooms first and then shamelessly stay in the girls' dormitory, saying something like, 'I'll hug you to sleep, I won't do anything.'" "Oh." Li Liantong was getting dirtier as she spoke. "Stop." Yan Zhika blushed and immediately interrupted her. "Don't be so dirty-minded." Speaking of this, she suddenly remembered that Lu Cheng deliberately mentioned that there was no school bus and that old Chiu and the others would not come back at night. He doesn't want me to come back? No wonder his reaction was a bit strange. Li Liantong looked at her amusedly and asked, "Didn't your Cheng have this intention?" "That's impossible. He said there was no school bus." Yan Zhika blushed and answered shyly. Hey, what did you say?" Li Liantong and Shi Xiangyang were all interested. I said book a special bus." Yan Zhika turned her head and looked to the side. Book a special bus, book a special bus. Aha, your answer is perfect. I admire you." Li Liantong held her belly and laughed, losing her image. Shi Xiangyang and Zhong Yanru were also pounding the bed and leaning on the table. Yan Zhika was embarrassed by their laughter and couldn't help but secretly gnash her teeth. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. I just suggested the most convenient and simplest way. It's all because of Cheng. I've become stupid Ko. Chapter 322. In the boys' dormitory, Lu Cheng laid on the bed after washing up. He stared at the ceiling and couldn't hide his smile as he recalled the scene of Yan Zhika swaying on the railing, her expression of anger and happiness after being frightened, the bright moon, her warm response, and everything else that was like a poem. Not being able to abduct Ku into staying out all night didn't seem to be a bad thing. What was lost at the swings, what was gained at the swings. It was a blessing in disguise. He only regretted that he was so intoxicated that he forgot to take a picture. In the small dormitory, Zhang Jingye turned on the computer, typing codes and checking for errors. Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao stayed in Qin Mo's house. The whole atmosphere was quiet and harmonious, with only the sound of typing coming from time to time. Lu Cheng first complained to Ko Qian that he regretted not taking a picture of her doing bad things, then opened Weibo and prepared to post something. Well, from Ku's clear eyes and reaction at that time, she really didn't know what I meant by missing the school bus and old Qiu staying out all night. Should I ask a question? How can I better hint to my girlfriend? Or should I beat around the bush and use some other methods? After all, I don't have the face to say this kind of thing directly. Lu Qing thought for a minute and posted on Weibo, should I hate or be grateful for the closed-door management of the school? After clicking the send button, he suddenly realized that it was not only Ku who followed his Weibo, but also an army of 100,000 onlookers. Damn it, I'm a big V but I don't have this awareness and self-awareness. He read it carefully and didn't find anything that crossed the line, so he didn't bother to delete it. He even thought, what's wrong with me posting a Weibo to show my affection with my girlfriend? Why should I care about other people's opinions? Collecting his thoughts, he switched to QQ and pretended to say casually to Yanjika, I just posted on Weibo. Don't tell me it's about my bad deeds. Yanjika sent a dumbfounded emoji. She also regretted that Lu Qing didn't take a picture of her acting like a child. But after thinking about it, she didn't care. There were always some regrets in life as long as she didn't forget them in her mind. Lu Qing sent a laughing and crying emoji. Why? I know you don't like to show off your affection in front of so many people. Sister, you're such a good girl. Yanjika sent a smirk emoji. Let me see what you posted. She opened Weibo, refreshed the page and swiped a few times. Then she saw Lu Qing's lament. What is this perverted orange hinting at? Yanjika turned over on the bed with the phone in her hand and scolded him silently. If it wasn't for Dirty Tong's reminder, I really wouldn't have understood what he was trying to say. Yanjika rolled her eyes and gritted her teeth, made a comment. Lu Qing was also refreshing the interface. He was surprised to find that many people had forwarded and commented on his post. Everyone seemed to be quite interested in this topic. You won't ask this question after you've tried the herding type of management? This is F*King awesome. Even if there is no closed management, there are dormitories that lock the door, turn off the lights and cut off the internet. Little comrade, the road ahead is long, so don't worry about it. Back in the days, because of the closed management and the internet was not allowed, I jumped over the wall and broke one of my arms in order to go to the internet cafe. Damn, I exposed my age. After scrolling through more than 10 posts, he found a familiar name, Xu Rui of Songqing TV station. She said, should I make a news article about this? The title should be, Shocking. The leader of a university's martial arts club criticizes the management of the school. Lu Qing almost burst out laughing. He replied, you're not good enough for a headline. It should be, Shocking. Closed management forces out the evil of human nature. He scrolled quickly with his thumb. He didn't read the rest of the content because he wanted to find his little fairy's reply first. Not long after, he saw Don't Drink with a Sword sent a dog head emoji. What are you talking about? I don't understand why. She seems to have understood a little. Lu Qing smiled. Just as he was about to say something on QQ, he saw Ku say, many of the replies to your Weibo post are very funny. You should go and take a look. Lu Qing switched back to Weibo and browsed through the previous comments. Unparalleled Dragon King said, with your skills, what's the difference between closed management and closed management? The difference is huge. Single dog, you don't understand. Lu Qing complained in his heart and continued scrolling. He knew that Unparalleled Dragon King was an otaku and a martial arts fanatic. Even though he had studied abroad, he didn't have a girlfriend. Brahmin001 said, a day student in junior high school doesn't understand. Eternal Nightfall sent a smile through tears emoji. It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't get out of bed when I don't have class. Well, except for going to the bathroom. After a few familiar IDs, there were already dozens of comments. At that time, we closed management and shut off the internet. We prepared a lot of things just to watch a foreign martial arts competition in the early hours of the morning. Finally, we saw the live broadcast in the corridor. Maybe we were a little excited and disturbed some of our students. Some of them got up in anger and were ready to argue with us. But when they saw that there were more than 20 shirtless strong men on our side, they retreated silently. Now that I think about it, I'm quite sorry. Haha, I've done the same thing. After the lights were off, I made a fuss in the dormitory and disturbed the guy on the upper bunk. He came down and beat me up. Upstairs, why do you say it so casually? You didn't even get angry when you were beaten up. What happened later? Later, shy emoji, we were together. Lu Qing finally laughed out loud. This is F*King a joke. He scrolled down again and saw a lot of comments. He laughed and felt a little worried at the same time. Could it be that my future development path is the most funny one in the martial arts world? The one with the best fighting skills? In the cheerful atmosphere, Lu Qing gradually felt sleepy. He said goodnight to Yanjika and fell into a dreamless sleep on time. The next morning, Lu Qing did his morning exercises as usual. While he was running to squeeze out his stamina, he jumped over the railing on a whim and rushed to the nearby town. He bought Old Dong's sweet oil fruit and soup dumplings and soy milk from the nearby store that Zhang Jingye and his girlfriend couldn't stop praising. Carrying breakfast, he sent it to Yanjika, which made her surprised and happy. She tactfully looked at him. After eating, they walked hand in hand to the martial arts arena. They found that Kai Zongming had already arrived and was yawning. Didn't sleep well last night? Can't recognize the bed? Lu Qing asked, amused. At this time, Yanjika took her toiletries and walked into the female locker room. Kai Zongming shook his head. Don't mention it. I had a nightmare. I was sleeping well at first, but when I woke up, I couldn't sleep anymore. What kind of nightmare? Lu Qing asked with great interest. Kai Zongming said with a face full of lingering fear, I dreamt that I was competing on the stage and I was the first one to go on the stage. When I had time to talk, I was so happy that I used all my skills and talked a lot. When I was done, I realized that the other party didn't even respond to me. He wasn't affected at all. I was so angry. When I took a closer look, guess what? My opponent was Lin K. I met Lin K during the conversation time. This is F*King scary, too scary? Lu Qing was a little dumbfounded. Then he said with a taut face, Talker, do you think I will sympathize with you? I even want to laugh. Haha, your nightmare is so funny. You don't understand that kind of fear. Kai Zongming shook his finger. Just when Lu Qing was about to laugh, Lin K walked in. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. It was Friday without any wind or waves. Since the second round of group competition on December 1st was not strong, it was his turn to rest. Lu Qing didn't hold back his cultivation and was not afraid of affecting the battle. At the end of the day, Geezer sure cleared his throat and said, Brat, do you have anything to do tonight? If you have anything, cancel it. No, master. What's up? Lu Qing asked in confusion. In his class schedule this semester, except for Saturday and Sunday afternoons, there were only Friday and Saturday evenings free. The mornings were reserved for special training. Yanjika's class was even more difficult. She had a professional class on Friday evenings. There were few people, so it was not convenient for Lu Qing to sneak in. Geezer sure coughed a few times and said, My old friends have made some progress in the research of the Longhu Immortal and sorted out many things about cultivation. They plan to explore the Longhu Villa and the Zhaoshan Lake again to find some useful traces. You go with me to have a look. You can get in touch with them and listen to them. See if you can learn anything. There is no danger there anymore. Everything that needs to be cleaned has been cleaned up. Lu Qing had been thinking about similar things since he found out that his master had old injuries. He wondered when his master's old friends would make some progress. So he answered without hesitation, Okay. Geezer sure nodded slightly. Talk less and listen more. Try not to interrupt. There is an old guy with a bad temper. I'm not afraid of him, but I don't want to argue with him. Yes, master. Lu Qing remembered the advice carefully. He planned to be his master's shadow at night. He would not speak unless asked by other seniors. Chapter 323. In the evening, Lu Qing stayed with Yanjika until the bell rang. Then he went to the teacher's dormitory. After waiting for a while, he finally saw his master. Let's go. They're almost at Zhaoshan Lake. Geezer sure shook his head as if he had just woken up. How do we get there? Lu Qing asked subconsciously. In his opinion, a physical invulnerability expert should have a different way of traveling. Geezer sure stared at him. By running, of course. Don't you have good stamina and don't get tired? Lu Qing was stunned. He was really thinking about running. Zhaoshan Lake was a little far, but it was still okay. Seeing his thoughtful expression, Geezer sure scolded him with a smile. What are you thinking about? Call a taxi. You stinking brat, you may not be afraid of being tired, but your master is at least old. Calling a taxi. Lu Qing looked at the sky helplessly. He took out his phone and opened the app. Is this the way a physical invulnerability expert travels? After a while, they jumped over the railing, left the campus and got into the taxi. Going to Zhaoshan Lake so late at night? The taxi driver asked nervously. Zhaoshan Lake was a tourist spot. After the sun went down, there would be few people there. At this moment, countless cases of taxi drivers being robbed and killed by passengers in secluded places flashed through his mind. He was a little scared and regretted taking the taxi. Sigh, if it wasn't on the way home, I wouldn't have taken the taxi. He pretended to play with the navigation and turned off the flash. He secretly took a picture of the back seat and planned to send it to his wife. He told her that if he went missing, these two people would be the murderers. After typing the message and clicking send, he quickly switched back to the navigation page. In the process, he sent the latest picture without looking at it carefully. Lu Cheng's senses were so sharp that he had already noticed the driver's abnormality. He didn't care about it and just found it funny. He saw his master closing his eyes to rest, so he followed suit and kept himself in the best state. The car arrived at Jiaoshan Lake in silence. Lu Cheng opened his eyes and saw the gentle ripples of the lake reflecting the moonlight. It was peaceful and tranquil. Compared to the daytime, it had a tranquil beauty that reminded him of the past. And in the middle of the lake was a pitch-black island. It was like a desolate beast lying on the surface of the water. "Thank you," said Lu Cheng politely. He pushed open the door and got out of the car. After Geezer Sher got out of the car and closed the door behind him, the driver finally heaved a sigh of relief. He felt as if he had been liberated from all the depression he had accumulated before. He waved at Lu Cheng and Geezer Sher, pulled the lever, reversed the car, and turned the steering wheel, preparing to leave quickly. Ding. At this moment, Lu Cheng heard the sound of money being deducted and walked to the lakeside with Geezer Sher. "Master, where are those seniors?" He looked around but didn't see anyone else. "On the island." Geezer Sher reached out and grabbed his shoulder. With a leap, he jumped directly into the lake. Tragic. He didn't bring any change of clothes. This inexplicable thought popped into his mind subconsciously. Just as he was about to fall into the water, he found that his feet were hard to the touch, as if he was stepping on the ground. He hurriedly lowered his head to take a look, only to see sparkling and translucent light reflected in his eyes. With his master's feet as the center, the lake with a radius of dozens of centimeters had formed a thick layer of ice. "Let's go." Geezer Sher held Lu Cheng's shoulders so that he wouldn't put all his weight on the ice. As they walked, the surface of the lake froze all the way, as if they had opened up a path to the island. After reversing the car and driving for dozens of meters, the driver calmed down and suddenly felt another doubt in his mind. Why did this old man and young man come to Jiaoshan Lake? Fishing? They didn't bring fishing gear. Looking for people? They didn't go to the house over there. Puzzled and curious, the driver couldn't help but look at the rearview mirror, only to find that the two passengers just now were gone. Gone? He inexplicably shivered, stepped on the brake, changed gears, pulled the lever, pressed down the window, stuck his head out and looked back at the lakeside. The lakeside was quiet and the moonlight was bright. Two vague figures walked on the water, farther and farther away until they were out of sight. "Oh my God!" The driver suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. He sat back and closed the window, hearing his heart beating fast. Just then his phone rang. It was from his wife. "Hello?" He answered instinctively, panting. His wife was surprised and confused. "What did you mean by sending me that picture? Are you okay?" "I just saw the message after I calmed the kids down." "Is there something wrong with the picture?" The driver blurted out, suddenly feeling cold all over. "You told me to remember the faces of the two people in the picture, but where are they?" His wife was puzzled. With a clatter, the driver's phone fell beside the brakes. He picked it up, hung up the call and switched to WeChat. He carefully looked at the picture he sent to his wife, only to see snowflakes swirling in the back seat like a whirlpool. Other than that, it was empty. There were no passengers. Bam. His phone fell to the ground again. He didn't have time to pick it up. He pushed the gear, released the brake, put down the lever, and started the car as if he was running for his life. "Oh my God, Ghost. Really, Ghost? I won't laugh at my wife's superstition anymore." He was so nervous that he almost drove the car into a ditch several times. Fortunately, there were few cars on the road at night and it was close to home, so he arrived at the community safely. After reversing the car 7 or 8 times, he finally parked the car crookedly. Rushing home, the first thing he said to his wife was, "Hurry up, hang the heavenly primogenitor statue you brought back, hang it in the master bedroom." On the island in the middle of the lake, Lu Cheng followed Geezer Sher to a cliff and saw 2 figures standing there. "Just the 2 of you?" Geezer Sher raised his eyebrows, took out a small wine bottle and drank a mouthful. One of the figures looked like a middle-aged man with deep eye sockets, a high-nose bridge, black hair mixed with a few strands of silver, and deep eyes that seemed to hide a flame. He said indifferently, "It's nothing important, just the 2 of us are enough." Geezer Sher clicked his tongue, pointed at him and introduced him to Lu Cheng. "This old guy is like me. He's not well known and often travels outside. When he was young he was quite creative. He combined several unique skills of the Plague Sect into the Fire Sect's martial arts. He compared himself to the Lord of Fire Virtue and named himself the Sinful Lord of Fire Virtue. Well, he didn't study much and only knew how to read. He didn't know what the virtue of Fire Virtue actually meant, so he gave it a random name. Later he felt it didn't sound good, so he changed it and called himself the Sinful Lord of Fire or the Divine Enchanting Flame. Damn, master, didn't we agree not to provoke him because he has a bad temper? Lu Qing was shocked by his master's mean words. He hurriedly saluted with his hands folded and called him senior. Divine Enchanter of Sinful Fire snorted and didn't say anything, as if he was used to Geysershire's sarcastic remarks. Geysershire didn't continue to provoke him but pointed to the other figure. I don't think I need to introduce her, you should know her. Of course he knew her. She was a mighty one who had been famous for 30 years. Xinghai Queen of Thought. Lu Qing held back his excitement and saluted respectfully. Greetings, Senior Fei. Queen of Thought, Fei Dan was in her 50s and was one of the oldest physical invulnerability experts active in the top professional competitions. She was a peerless figure in the same generation as Taoist sword Wuxia of Shushan study. So far, she had won 20 titles and was nicknamed King of Thought or Queen of Thought. In recent years, as she grew older, her martial arts became more and more refined, and her strength decreased. She lost more than she won against Dragon King and Warrior Sage. In addition, she could be considered as the actual host of the Xinghai Club. The club had a mysterious background and a variety of kung fu. There was half of the secret art of the Water Sect, the Earth Divine art of the non-fighting sect, and the Tai Chi derived from the Taoist sect. Fei Dan was less than 1.7 meters tall, but she still looked like she was in her 30s. Her temperament was quite elegant. After Lu Qing finished the salute, she laughed and said, Little friend, are you interested in joining the Xinghai Club after graduation? Lu Qing was speechless and didn't know how to answer. Ahem. Geysershire interrupted, Don't tempt him. He worships Dragon King, and his wife is from Shushan study. He won't join Xinghai Club. Brat, let me tell you, she may be gentle and well-mannered now, but she used to have a fiery temper. Can't you keep your mouth shut? Queen of Thought shook her head and laughed, interrupting Geysershire's nagging. Let's go down. As she spoke, the surface of her body flashed and expanded into a ball, enveloping them. Lu Qing looked around curiously and saw that the surface of the ball was transparent and thin, as if it was made of water. Jump. Fei Dan's voice drilled into his ears. Lu Qing didn't hesitate and jumped off the cliff. The transparent ball of water swayed and floated lightly. Carrying them, they slowly landed on the surface of the water and sank. The surroundings were getting darker and darker. Lu Qing looked around and couldn't believe that he was in Zhaoshan Lake. He breathed smoothly and didn't feel the water pressure or humidity. After falling for a while, he finally touched the ground and arrived at the bottom of the lake. Queen of Thought, Divine Enchanter of Sin Flame and Geysershire walked dozens of meters around the bottom of the island and found a narrow crack in the rock wall. From afar it looked like a crack of a door. Lu Qing followed his master's advice and remained silent. He spoke less and listened more. At this moment, Divine Enchanter of Sin Flame shook his wrist and threw out a green flame. It passed through the surface of the water ball and fell on the thin crack, burning silently. As it burned, a muffled sound was heard. The island shook and the thin crack cracked open, retreating backward. It was really a crack of a door. When the door opened, a stone staircase was revealed. The outside was water and the inside was empty, as if there was an invisible force separating the inside from the outside. As the waves flashed, the water ball floated into the abode and turned into bubbles. Lu Qing looked around and didn't feel any difficulty in breathing. The surroundings were clean and fresh and even a breeze was blowing. He calmed down and followed his master and the others up the stone staircase. He also spared some energy to observe the Jindan to see if it would change in the original owner's mansion. Chapter 324. Going up the stairs and into the main hall, Lu Qing could see the general appearance of the abode. It was divided into the elixir room, library, silence room and reception hall. Small as it was, it had everything. There was a glimmer on the wall which made things visible to the naked eye. Looking at the dark, lonely and gloomy abode, Lu Qing shivered inexplicably. He recalled an archaeological program he had watched before. Someone's tomb had its own layout, as if it was his home when he was alive, but it was isolated from the outside world. Geysershire seemed to have guessed that he would have such thoughts. He coughed twice and said, I don't know what these cultivators are thinking. Some of them built their cave abodes like tombs. They have to be at the bottom of some lake or mountain. We call it dark. It's not that there's no light. They have their own layout with sunlight and moonlight. It's bright during the day and quiet at night. It's more natural and environmentally friendly. Queen of Thought, Fei Dan smiled. They had already explored this place and looted it. This time their purpose was clear. They talked as they walked to the silence room, which was equivalent to the master bedroom. From the words of the divine enchanter of Sin Flame and Queen of Thought, Lu Qing vaguely grasped the difference between cultivation and martial arts. The latter first trained the body, supplemented by visualization, and then after finding and condensing the will, it involved the spirit so that it could be integrated with the qi, blood, and force. The former started with the spirit, with the help of external objects, to train the body. Although the body was also cultivated, it was only temporarily used as a supplement. It was only until the 7th cycle and 9th cycle, when the qi was condensed into the dan, that there was a balance. As for the more detailed and profound content, firstly, Queen of Thought and Queen of Thought didn't mention much due to the lack of time. Secondly, Lu Qing didn't understand the few sentences that were mentioned occasionally. The silence room was simple with only a stone bed and a stone table. It was completely different from the abode of cultivation that Lu Qing imagined. It should be on the wall. Queen of Thought looked around and said elegantly and confidently, "On the wall? What are they looking for?" Lu Qing looked around and followed them. But due to the dim light he couldn't see anything. The divine enchanter of Sin Flame replied in a muffled voice, "I felt that there was something missing. You were too impatient." A dark green flame leaped out from his palm and illuminated the quiet room. Everything was covered in a flowing dim light, which made it even more terrifying. Lu Qing followed behind Gizershur. He didn't interrupt or walk around randomly. He just looked around, taking in every drop of the wall. However, there were only mottled remnants of the passage of time. "What are you waiting for? Do you want to spend the night here?" Gizershur took a sip of his wine and cheekily yelled, as if he was just a bystander who had come to watch the show. "Humph." The divine enchanter of Sin Flame flicked his wrist and a green flame flew out. It split into 8 flames in the air and shot in all directions, hitting the stone wall. A strange buzzing sound was heard, and a ripple appeared on the wall. Glittering in crimson light intertwined, and 9 ancient words appeared: Lin Bing Do Zhijie Zhen Lai Qian Xing. They were either dim, damaged or incomplete. Only the Bing, I, and Qian were in good condition, each with their own unique charm. "Sure enough there is." Fei Dan sighed, implying something else. "This is the 9 words formula of Haotian Taoism." Gizershur didn't forget his silly disciple and introduced it to him. Lu Qing had seen the 9 words and the corresponding revisions in novels, cartoons, and some previously collected materials about cultivation, so he was familiar with them. However, he was curious as to why the Queen of Thought and the divine enchanter of Sin Flame would explore the Longhu Villa again in search of the well-known 9 words formula. While he was thinking, Gizershur continued, "These are not ordinary goods. The 9 words formula of Haotian Taoism is similar to the Sanskrit mantra of 6 syllables of Daxing Temple. Brat, you've encountered the formula of hum, so you should know the function of these words, right? So you can get different effects by just thinking about them?" Lu Qing asked tentatively. Gizershur scolded with a smile, "What's the use of just thinking about them? You need to use the corresponding visualization to make them work." "I know. I'm not stupid." Lu Qing didn't dare to talk back to his master. "The Queen of Thought," Fei Dan said with a smile, "and you have to pronounce them according to their original pronunciation. You can't use the current pronunciation, otherwise it'll be useless no matter how hard you pronounce them. For example, the word confrontation, you should pronounce it." Speaking of this, her face turned serious. Her chest vibrated and her vocal cords resonated. She uttered a strange pronunciation, confrontation. The sound reverberated as if pouring into Lu Qing's ears from all directions. He suddenly felt that the Jindan in his lower abdomen was turning. The stars seemed to be shifting and rippling as if something was about to appear. However, all of this was so weak that it disappeared in the blink of an eye. It was as if it lacked a stronger stimulus and influence. The confrontation formula or the 9 words formula could trigger changes in the Jindan. Lu Qing was shocked and then delighted. He felt that this trip wasn't in vain. He quickly imitated the pronunciation of the Queen of Thought and repeated it, "You're right. Confrontation." This time, the nebula-like Jindan was silent and didn't respond. Instead, the Queen of Thought laughed, the confrontation formula with the accent of Xing province. Damn. Lu Qing was so ashamed that he almost looked up. You're so interested. I'll organize the 9 words formula and send it to your master. But it's useless without the corresponding visualization method. Fei Dan sighed softly and turned to Geezer Shi. After organizing and studying the legacy of the Longhu Immortal, we found that the 9 words formula is not only a secret method, but also a training method. It uses the secret of sound to influence the body and produce incredible effects. The reason why the Longhu Immortal is ranked among the top cultivators is that he incorporated the 9 words formula into his own cultivation. We also hope to use them to break through the barrier between martial arts and cultivation and find a way to break through the barrier. Sai will be old if we don't take the risk. Finding traces of the 9 words formula in the Longhu Villa confirmed their research and speculation on the Longhu Immortal's cultivation method. Then where is the corresponding visualization method? Lu Qing almost blurted out. Fortunately, he remembered his master's reminder that silence was golden. The confrontation formula just now only caused a few ripples in the Jindan because of the lack of a visualization method, right? Geezer Shi glanced at him and guessed what was on his mind. He smiled and said, "That's right." He smiled and said, "You've gained a lot this time." The 9 words formula handwritten by the Longhu Immortal contains the corresponding essence and charm. It's equivalent to a visualization diagram that only lacks the details. Yes, it's not difficult to master it after some time. But only 3 of them are complete. The divine enchanter of Sin Flame's tone softened a lot, with a hint of regret. Except for the 3 words army, swordsman, and forwarding, the rest of the charm was gone. So what? The Longhu Immortal is not the only one who knows the 9 words formula. Geezer Shi sneered. Were the 3 words themselves a visualization diagram? Lu Qing was surprised and hurriedly looked over. He felt that the lines were thick and colorful, as if they were communicating with the deepest and most incomprehensible mystery of the world. Among them the word army was sharp, the word swordsman was thick, and the word forwarding was unstoppable. While Lu Qing was absorbed in memorizing and comprehending, the divine enchanter of Sin Flame stepped forward and patted the wall with his 5 fingers open. Whoosh, whoosh. Green flames spurted out from the inside, burning away the crisscrossing crystal and crimson. The 3 words army, swordsman, and forwarding were cut off. The 3 pieces of stone flew neatly into Queen of Thought's hand and landed in her palm. This telekinesis, this ability to turn thoughts into reality, is much more powerful than Lu Xuanzhen's supernatural ability. Lu Qing sighed to himself and resisted the urge to stop her from taking the 3 pieces of stone away. After leaving the cave and returning to the lakeside, Lu Qing watched the divine enchanter of Sin Flame and the Queen of Thought disappear. He lowered his voice and said to Geezer Shi, "Master, the 9 words formula seems to be able to affect." Before he could finish, Geezer Shi suddenly interrupted him. "It can affect the legacy of the Longhu Immortal in your body?" "Yes." Lu Qing nodded hard. "That's right." After confirming, he added, "It's not enough to just rely on the ancient sounds. There needs to be a corresponding visualization method. I'll ask for a rubbing for them later. Although the effect will be much worse, it's not like there's nothing. You can try it first and make sure it has a good effect." Geezer Shi said rubbing instead of rubbing. "Thank you, master." Lu Qing replied happily. What a good master from China. There's finally hope to solve the mystery of the Jindan of the Longhu Immortal. He took out his phone and found that the signal was back. He saw Yenjika's stretching body emoji and said, "It's finally time for recess. This teacher is so fast every time. He can go on for dozens of pages in one class. Just listening to the class is tiring." Lu Qing looked at the time and found that only 10 minutes had passed since the last reply. It was really a short adventure. It was not as thrilling and exciting as he had imagined. "I took some time to go on an adventure," he replied to Yenjika with a snickering smile, and opened the app to book a ride back. He waited and waited. Before Yenjika took the time to reply, no one had accepted the order. "Then I'll go first. You can run back by yourself." Geezer Shi waved his hand casually and said while trying not to laugh, "A master, you won't take me?" Lu Qing opened his mouth wide. He couldn't believe that this was a good master from China. Ahem. Geezer Shi coughed deliberately. "I have an old injury. I can walk by myself, but I can't take you with me. Anyway, you have good stamina. You can run by yourself." Okay. Lu Qing accepted the explanation. Geezer Shi didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and disappeared into the darkness in the distance. Every time he walked he had to rest for a while. And every time he rested he was overjoyed. He felt that he had finally tricked that brat. You have good stamina, don't you? Then you can run. Run. Lu Qing calmed himself down and ran in the night. He looked at the GPS on his phone and ran toward the new campus of Songqing University. On the way, Yanzhika replied with a 10-face emoji. Adventure? I feel that I've become stupid. Why can't I understand? Since it involved other people's secrets, Lu Qing didn't go into details. There's a mansion of cultivators nearby. The kind that has been explored. My master wants to take me there to see it. You know about cultivators, right? I know. Shushan study has a lot of information on this. The earliest cultivators were born among the Taoist warriors. Yanzhika replied with an emoji scratching its chin in deep thought. You're still in the cave residence? Since when do you have a mobile signal in the cave of cultivators? Is it really global? No, I'm on my way back. I ran back. Lu Qing replied with a grief and anger, thinking about what Coach Yen said. Maybe I can get more information about cultivators from Shushan study in the future. Chapter 325. Lu Qing ran back to the new campus of Songqing University smoothly and picked up Yanzhika after class. Due to the long distance, he was panting and sweating, which made Yanzhika laugh secretly and feel sorry for him. She took out a tissue for him to wipe his forehead and said, "Don't go for a walk today. Go get a bottle of hot water and take a bath in the dormitory." Yanzhika nodded and said, "Don't go for a walk today." In the early winter, taking a cold shower was not a challenge for Lu Qing, but it was not comfortable. It's okay. Since I got Old Xiu's autograph and gave him a VIP ticket, my hot water is guaranteed every day. Seeing the light of the Jindan, Lu Qing was in a good mood and wanted to take Yanzhika to the lakeside to share his joy. Yanzhika wrinkled her nose and pretended to be disgusted. You're so sweaty. Although she said that, she did not break away from Lu Qing's hand and followed him to the lakeside. She smiled and looked around. Although I'm sweaty, I'm actually not that tired. Running to improve my stamina is getting less and less effective for me, unless I'm willing to spend the whole morning or afternoon. Lu Qing sighed and followed the topic. How did an inhuman dance stage mighty one train to such a level? Are you showing off? You're showing off, right? Yanzhika, who was born with a deficiency and whose physique was worse than other martial artists of the same level, rolled her eyes and gave him a look of both happiness and anger. She showed her white teeth and showed a fierce look. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. He reached out and gently pinched the girl's nose. He said excitedly, I'm thinking of a different way to train my physical strength. My master said that he's going to give me some sorted cultivation materials, as well as a rubbing of the 3 words of the 9 words formula. So I hope I can find something useful by analogy. Maybe it can even help me improve my physical fitness. What he wanted to say was that cultivation focused on spirit first and then body training. Maybe there was a way to make up for Yanzhika's congenital deficiency. Of course, this was not something that could be done by ordinary cultivation methods. Otherwise, with the accumulation of Shushan study, her grandpa would have suggested it long ago. Therefore, Lu Qing did not mention it directly. He did not want to arouse her hope and fail. As for the 9 words formula, he didn't think it was a secret. He would use it sooner or later and he couldn't hide it from others. Yanzhika's dimples showed when she heard that Lu Qing still cared about her body when he was thinking about cultivation. She said sweetly, Why do you like to pinch my nose, mouth and face recently? Do you think I'm a child? After saying this proudly, she said thoughtfully, 9 words formula, I heard my grandfather mention it before. Each of the 9 words has its own magic. I don't know if Shushan study has it, but even if it does, it should be incomplete. Anyway, I haven't heard of anyone practicing this secret method in the sect. She subconsciously wondered if Shushan study had the remaining part of the 9 words formula and if there was any way to help her boyfriend complete it. Does this count as a girl being extroverted? Lu Qing understood the hidden meaning behind Ku's words. He was secretly pleased, but he just chuckled and didn't tease her. Of course. If there were people in every sect who practiced it, I wouldn't only know about the 9 words formula today. He recalled the top professional matches and title matches he had watched. The two chatted as they walked. The more they walked, the more remote they became. Gradually there was no one around. They even approached the West Baron, which was still under construction. Yanzhika looked around and stopped in her tracks. Pursing her lips, she looked at Lu Qing seriously, and said, This place is so remote. I thought of a saying. What saying? Lu Qing asked with a smile. Yanjika raised her chin slightly and broke into laughter. Shout until your throat breaks. No one will come to save you. Why did you steal my lines? Lu Qing burst out laughing. Shivering expression. Saturday was the last day of November. Since they had to play an away game against the Linghua University Martial Arts Club on Sunday, and it was Yanjika, Lin Hua and Lin Kei's turn to play, the girls went back to their dormitory early to rest in order to maintain the best fighting condition. Lu Qing received a call from his master as soon as he entered the 7th courtyard. "Hey brat, come here," Geezer Sure said concisely without explaining anything. Lu Qing was excited at once. He guessed that it was the materials of cultivation and the rubbings of the 3 words formula of army, swordsman, and Qian. As expected, when he entered his master's dormitory, he was thrown a file bag. "Take it back and read it carefully. Don't tell me you've mastered it tomorrow." Geezer Sure teased him. This brat practiced visualization, thunder roar zen and severe warning too fast. He could only tease him like this. "Then I'll tell you the day after tomorrow?" Lu Qing replied with a joke. He untied the file bag and took out the materials inside. He saw a thick stack of materials related to cultivation and 3 rubbings with hidden charm. He had returned the visualization diagram of Zhu Rong Force to his master at the beginning of the semester. "Okay. Come and tell me the good news the day after tomorrow if you dare." Geezer Sure waved his hand indicating that Lu Qing could leave. Lu Qing carried the file bag and left the teacher's dormitory with light steps. He shared the news with Yanjika. Of course, Ko Qian had already gone to bed and didn't respond. Lu Qing couldn't hold back his excitement when he returned to his dormitory. Zhang Jingye, Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao hadn't returned from their dates or self-study. He first browsed through the materials of cultivation and found that the seniors of Queen of Thought didn't get the cultivation method of Longhu Immortal, but related notes and classics. He could only sort out the general idea and some specific but scattered details from them. He didn't read it carefully. He browsed to the last page and found a handwritten URL and the corresponding extraction code, followed by the words 9 words ancient sound. Queen of Thought's handwriting is so elegant and delicate. It has both form and spirit. Lu Qing envied her for a few seconds. He hurriedly downloaded the audio file and listened to it carefully several times through the phone player. Only then did he get to the point. He picked out the rubbings of the character swordsman, and observed its essence and charm. He also saw the corresponding hand gestures and explanations described in the corner of the paper. Without hand gestures it was internal training. It was the combination of the secrets of sound and mind, which had an incredible effect on the body. With hand gestures, it was a communication between the inside and outside. The secrets of sound, mind and body resonated and had an effect on the outside world. Lu Qing listened to the ancient sound of the character swordsman repeatedly. He confirmed that he had mastered the reading through the ripples in his Jindan. Then he climbed onto the bed and sat cross-legged with his 5 hearts facing the sky. He tried to visualize the charm of the character swordsman. He closed his eyes and concealed his spirit and qi, obtaining a sense of tranquility without distracting thoughts. In his mind he sketched the word swordsman, stroke by stroke. However, it was not so easy to understand the charm of the word swordsman. The word swordsman appeared one after another, but they did not have that kind of profound and long meaning, let alone trigger the changes of the Jindan. Lu Qing practiced again and again until he was a little tired. His thoughts began to wander and he planned to try other training methods. For example, he could use his chest and vocal cords to pronounce the ancient sound of swordsman, while he was visualizing. He wanted to see if there would be a connection between the two and create a certain charm in reverse. Boldly hypothesizing and carefully verifying was a way of thinking that Lu Qing had developed over the years. Once he had an idea, he immediately put it into practice. He visualized the character swordsman, with only a little bit of essence and charm. His chest hummed and his vocal cords vibrated. He exhaled and said, "Swordsman." The ancient sound reverberated. The Jindan in Lu Cheng's lower abdomen slightly rippled. The stars moved and his body turned slightly. At this moment, the bright and deep nebula seemed to come alive and resonated with the character swordsman, in Lu Cheng's mind. The ripples became more intense like water waves. In the water waves, the stars moved and the brilliant stars seemed to connect into hundreds of vague ancient characters. They were scattered around the character swordsman, which was full of vitality. When the character appeared, it was immediately reflected in Lu Cheng's mind, making the visualization change accordingly. After a short while, Lu Qing withdrew from the concealment of spirit and qi and recalled the feeling he had before. So he picked up the rubbing again and tried to comprehend again. This time he seemed to be very familiar with the process. In less than half an hour he actually succeeded in visualizing the character Swordsman, which was full of charm. How could this work? Lu Qing was shocked by himself. The Jindan of Longhu Immortal was indeed a combination of the 9 words formula and his cultivation method. Lu Qing exhaled and calmed his mind. He closed his eyes and visualized the thick and growing character Swordsman in his mind. He exhaled again and said, Swordsman. The visualization and the sound resonated, as if crossing the barrier between illusion and reality, triggering a mysterious and abstruse force that reverberated in Lu Qing's body, nourishing and tempering his spirit and body. The ripples on the Jindan were even more intense. The stars moved more clearly. The hundreds of vague ancient characters finally became clear. The effect of the swordsman formula is to strengthen the spirit and stamina. Lu Qing looked at the neatly arranged quilt opposite him with joy. This could completely remove the morning exercise from his running program and slowly improve his spirit. This was exactly what he needed right now. He took out his phone and copied some of the ancient characters that he had forcibly memorized into his memo. Swordsman. Swordsman. He sat cross-legged on the bed and recited the ancient words over and over again. When it was almost 10:30, he finally finished reciting the fragmented words. Phew, if the 9 words formula is complete, I should be able to complete this manual. Lu Qing looked at his phone and couldn't understand the incomplete content. He rubbed his temples, turned to the hand gestures of the swordsman formula and began to practice external application. Swordsman. Swordsman. When Zhao Chang and Qiu Zhigao came back together, they happened to see Lu Qing sitting cross-legged on the bed and heard him, stretching his voice. Qing, what are you doing? Zhao Chang yawned. He was very tired from the self-study. So was Qiu Zhigao. Lu Qing smiled and didn't answer. He first tapped the bed railing lightly. Then he put one hand on his knee and the other hand made a seal. He shouted with a solemn expression, Swordsman. The mysterious atmosphere suddenly stirred up Zhao Chang's spirit and all his sleepiness disappeared. Why do I suddenly feel not tired? Old Qiu looked at Lu Qing blankly. Was it because you scared me? If you say so, then so be it. Lu Qing smiled with a hint of tiredness. That night, Zhao Chang couldn't sleep until 2 o'clock. Old Qiu was full of energy and ran 10 laps in the night. The next morning, Geezer Shi looked at Lu Qing with a smile. How is it? Can you finish it tomorrow? He teased again. Lu Qing coughed and said, I'll tell you tomorrow. As a real man, he said the day after tomorrow. Never before. Chapter 326. In the afternoon, the martial arts club arrived at Linghua University in the same city. They easily defeated the martial arts club in the away game and won the second match in the group stage. Now they were out of the group stage and only needed to secure the first place so that they wouldn't have to face Shanbei University in the quarterfinals. In this match, Yanjika once again performed at the level of a professional 9th pin. Her combination of yin-yang twist and 24 blizzard strikes was quite extraordinary. Lin Hua also seized the opportunity to defeat the weakened amateur first pin. Lin K was the last to win and defeated the leading player of the opponent in 3 moves. On the way back, because of the heavy traffic on the weekend, they didn't enter the new campus until 6 o'clock and ate the delicious food in the cafeteria. After the meal, Yanjika swung her arms and sighed with emotion while taking a stroll to help with digestion. It's really tiring to fight like this. I haven't recovered yet. She fought against Luo Ku, another professional 9th pin fighter of Linghua University. After the match, Lu Qing planned to give her a massage to relieve her muscle fatigue. However, he had to give up because he was in someone else's locker room and Xu Rue was leading the team to shoot the material. Hearing Ku's coquettish words, Lu Qing thought of the secret method he had just learned. He changed his mind and pretended to be joking. Let me show you a magic trick. After that, you won't be tired anymore. Liar. Yanjika rolled her eyes at him, feeling both annoyed and amused. Really? Look at my sincere eyes. Lu Qing deliberately opened his eyes wide. Let's go that way. I'll show you. He pointed to the lawn behind the trees, which was much more secluded compared to the busy main road. What are you going to do? Yanjika was startled and asked suspiciously. It's not dark yet. Shame on you. And there are so many people on the road. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to perform a magic trick. Lu Qing chuckled. Are you sure you're not thinking about something else? No. Yenjika turned her head to deny. Her face was red and her ears were hot. In such a mood, she finally followed her boyfriend to the lawn after Lu Cheng's repeated assurances. Using a tree on the street as cover, she hid herself slightly. Change. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Lu Cheng while gnashing her teeth. When did you learn how to perform magic? Lu Cheng chuckled. With one hand flat and the other hand forming a seal, he visualized the long and thick word, swordsman. Then he vibrated his chest and resonated his vocal cords. Sages. Yenjika shuddered, feeling that her bones, viscera, muscles and fascia were shaking inexplicably. A strange yet familiar feeling of infiltration passed in a flash. Her mouth opened little by little, forming a cute O shape. While staring blankly at Lu Cheng, she subconsciously moved her hands and feet. How is it? Are you tired? What do you think of this magic trick? Lu Cheng suppressed his complacency and asked with a smile. He looked a little tired. External use of the 9 words formula once had put a huge burden on his mind. I'm really not tired. Yenjika replied blankly. Then she suddenly realized something and raised her right hand. She blurted out in surprise and joy, You've mastered the 9 words formula? Formula? How was this magic? This was clearly a secret technique. The day before yesterday, Cheng had mentioned that Coach Shi would give him the rubbings of 3 of the 9 words formula. Had he already mastered it today? Wasn't this a little too unrealistic? Because of this, when Lu Cheng mentioned the magic trick to recover fatigue, Yenjika didn't associate it with the 9 words formula. Yeah, maybe it's fate. Lu Cheng was half joking and half telling the truth. It was indeed fate. Longhu Immortal had merged the 9 words formula and formed his Jin Dan, which meant that he had the key to this secret technique. Fate? Yenjika, who had always been smart, asked in confusion. Lu Cheng exhaled and said sincerely, This involves a little secret. I'll tell you all about it in the future. Okay. Yenjika smiled and didn't ask further. She thought it involved Coach Shi's secret. Lu Cheng smiled at her and suggested again, I'll try again. Feel the changes in your body carefully. Okay. Yenjika nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Lu Cheng repeated the previous process and made a hand gesture. With a serious expression, he said in a low voice, Sages. The wind blew again and swirled into a whirlpool. The dusk seemed to have deepened a little. Yenjika lowered her eyes and tried to feel it. After a minute she said, It feels like there's an external force coming from you. Well, it's not completely like that. It seems to come from a very near yet very far place. It nourishes my spirit and washes away my fatigue. That's what I felt the last time, but not this time. Lu Cheng asked thoughtfully, Then do you feel more energetic and have better stamina than when you were at your best? No. Yenjika gave an affirmative answer. In other words, the sage's formula can only recover fatigue but can't help people improve. Well, maybe it's because I've just started and haven't practiced to a high level. Lu Cheng roughly determined the current effect of the sage's formula and said with a smile, What do you think? This magic trick is good, right? Not bad, it's great. Yenjika rolled her eyes and said cheerfully, Well, I'm not tired at all. I wanted to find a place where there's no one and let you give me a massage. Now it seems that I don't need it anymore. I'll do it in the future. I seem to have done something wrong. It feels good to show off. Lu Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is different. This can't help you rub your bruises and heal your wounds. While talking, he saw a sly smile in Yenjika's eyes. Monday morning by the Weishui Lake. With his hands clasped behind his back, Geezer Shi sauntered up to Lu Cheng and teased him. How is it? Have you mastered it? It's been 2 days. Lu Cheng didn't panic. He got into a stance and made a hand gesture. With a solemn expression, he said in a low voice, Soldiers. The surrounding atmosphere suddenly turned strange and tragic. Geezer Shi seemed to see thousands of soldiers and horses charging at him from all directions with a strong iron and blood aura. The iron hooves shook the ground and the murderous intent drilled into his heart. If it were an ordinary person facing such a scene, his mind would have been shaken, his legs would have turned to jelly, and he might have even peed in his pants. But Geezer Shi was a strong man. His eyes only twitched a few times and his pupils contracted. It wasn't because of fear but because of shock. There were thousands of words in his heart that he wanted to say, and many emotions that he wanted to turn into curses. But in the end he just smiled calmly and said, He had mastered the army formula in just 2 days and he even used a rubbing? Over there, Fei Dan and Zhao Jingrong were top physical invulnerability experts, but they still hadn't mastered the original version. This brat needs to be dissected. Otherwise, this old man will be scared to death by him sooner or later. Geezer sure cursed silently. He took out the flagon and drank a mouthful to suppress his shock. Pretending to be normal, he asked, "When did you master it? How many have you mastered?" Lu Cheng smiled calmly and said, "I mastered the swordsman formula 2 nights ago. Yesterday, I mastered the army formula and forwarding formula." Cough 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 cough. Geezer sure choked on the wine. After a while, he said, "Longhu Immortal's legacy can help you master the 9 words formula?" With his rich experience, he immediately figured out the key. Seeing his master lose his composure, Lu Cheng felt refreshed. He answered honestly, "Yes, it has a connection with the 9 words formula. In turn, it will affect the charm of my visualization. I can master it in about half an hour, but the prerequisite is that I have a visualization diagram to refer to." So he couldn't master the other 6 words. In order to hide his emotions and maintain his master's demeanor, Geezer sure didn't ask further. He changed the topic and said, "Not bad. This can be considered as a compliment to your previous adventure. The army formula is a secret technique of the spirit. What about the swordsman formula and the forwarding formula?" Lu Cheng answered calmly, "The internal training of the army formula is to hone one's willpower, not to improve it, but to make it sharper and tougher in certain aspects. Externally, it is to suppress the enemy's momentum and attack his spirit. The forwarding formula is to cultivate one's state of mind, which is very compatible with the ice mirror. Externally, it is not only used to attack others but also to affect oneself. It is to subdue negative emotions such as fear, panic, and anger." Hearing his disciple's words, Geezer sure was speechless. In the end, he nodded and said, "Very good. I'll also practice the 3 9 words formula later. Let's see how long it takes to master it." On Sunday, December 8th, the Songqing University Martial Arts Club, with Li Mao, Kai Zongming, and Lu as the main force, defeated the Martial Arts Club of Wuxia University School of Geology without a single drop of blood. As the champion, the Martial Arts Club successfully advanced into the top 8. According to the rule of the first versus the second place of another group, the Martial Arts Club avoided Shanbei, Sanjiang, and Haiyuan. It was already dark when they returned to the new campus. When they parted, they high-fived each other as a celebration. But they weren't too excited because this was what they had expected before the district competition. Their goal was not to advance to the next round, but to enter the national finals. Their joy would be released at that time. After parting with Kai Zongming and the others, Lu Cheng, who was carrying a backpack, pulled Yanzhika aside. "What's wrong?" Yanzhika vaguely guessed what Cheng wanted to say. Lu Cheng gritted his teeth and said shamelessly, "Ku, let's go sleep outside tonight." "Yes, after a period of training my face has grown thicker. I can speak directly instead of just hinting." Yanzhika didn't expect Lu Cheng to be so direct. For a moment she was stunned and blushed. "How can you say this directly? How do you want me to answer?" Lu Cheng then realized that he had missed the key point. He hurriedly added, "After 12 o'clock, it will be your birthday. I want to celebrate your 19th birthday with you. Don't worry, I'll get 2 rooms." At this moment, Dirty Tong's words inexplicably flashed in Yanzhika's mind. "They will get 2 rooms first and then shamelessly stay with the girls?" Yanzhika lowered her eyes and blushed. Under Lu Cheng's expectant gaze, Yanzhika bit her lip and turned her head to the side. She answered softly, Okay. Just as she agreed, she felt strangely guilty and added, "I believe you." "Good." Lu Cheng couldn't hide his joy. At this moment, Yanzhika's phone rang. She took it out and found that it was her mother, Ji Mingyu. Empress Dowager. She first reminded Lu Cheng and then chose to answer. "Hello Ku, are you back at school?" Ji Mingyu asked with a smile. "Yes, Mom. Are you going to wish me a happy birthday in advance?" "You haven't even given me a present," Yanzhika said coquettishly. Lu Cheng stood aside quietly, outlining the evening date scene and the steps of giving a present. With his hearing, it wasn't difficult for him to hear the voice on the phone. Ji Mingyu smiled. "I've already prepared it. Your dad happens to be free these 2 days. We've already arrived in Songqing and we'll celebrate your birthday directly. What do you think? Are you surprised?" Yanzhika slightly opened her mouth and looked at the dumbfounded Lu Cheng. She replied blankly, "Surprise, happiness?" Chapter 327. Surprise. Lu Cheng felt that the sky was dark, as if the Empress Dowager's palm was pressing down. He was like a monkey on the Five Fingers Mountain, unable to escape no matter how hard he tried. As the saying goes, the virtue rises 1 foot, the devil rises 10. She had never expected that she would come all the way to Songqing to celebrate Ke's birthday. On the other end of the phone, Ji Mingyu continued to smile as if she didn't feel anything. Last year your dad and I didn't have the time to accompany our little princess to adulthood. This time we have to make up for it. We are at Songya Hotel. You can take a taxi and come here directly. Don't go to class tonight. Anyway, isn't it a class meeting? Just ask the counselor for a leave. Okay. Yan Zhika agreed, feeling warm and worried at the same time. Songqing University's tradition was that the class on Sunday evening was fixed as the class meeting. Of course, it wasn't written in the class schedule. It was usually given a sock puppet, such as situation and policy. This was the only class in the preset class schedule that couldn't be changed. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika usually came back late because of away games on Sunday, so they directly asked for a long leave from the counselor through the school management. They didn't have to attend this class for a long time. After hanging up the phone, Yan Zhika pursed her lips and looked at Lu Cheng with complicated eyes. She opened her mouth several times but couldn't say anything. Lu Cheng quietly exhaled and smiled again. I want to ask a question now. How big is the shadow in my heart? Well, tomorrow is your official birthday. I'll treat you to a big meal tonight. He tried to dispel Ke's guilt by self-deprecating, but the loss and regret wouldn't disappear so easily. They couldn't hold each other's hands to celebrate the first birthday of their relationship. Moreover, he had no excuse to stay out all night tomorrow. Yan Zhika rolled her eyes and bit her teeth lightly. Suddenly she turned her head and looked to the side, slightly raising her chin. You and I will go over together? Meet the parents? Isn't this too hasty? Lu Cheng was shocked and frightened for a few seconds. But soon he calmed down and no longer panicked. I'm not bad now. I have the ability to guarantee Ke's future. I can hold my head high when I meet the Empress Dowager and father-in-law. There's nothing to be afraid of. This was confidence, and certainty. Well, it's definitely not good to go empty-handed. I have to hurry up and buy some gifts. What should my son-in-law bring when he visits for the first time? Seeing his surprised and thoughtful expression, Yan Zhika knew that he was thinking too much and outlining the future. She hurriedly said, What are you thinking about? I mean, why don't you stay in Songya Hotel tonight? When my parents are asleep, I'll come to find you. Let's spend the midnight together. Well, if my mom comes alone, she will definitely ask me to sleep with her. But isn't my dad here? The two of them love each other very much. How could they bear to part with each other? Same as us. Lu Cheng chuckled in agreement. He stopped all thoughts of meeting the parents and became happy and expectant again. Yan Zhika glared at him and snorted. She suddenly felt like she had done something bad again. She glanced at the luggage on Lu Cheng's back and suddenly realized something. You didn't stuff the birthday cake in there, did you? I was just wondering why Cheng brought his big backpack today. Not just the birthday cake. Lu Cheng smiled and kept her guessing. With his current strength and control of his body, even if he carried a small cake and ran around, it wouldn't be damaged. You have more gifts? Yan Zhika asked curiously and happily. She really wanted to know what it was now. Hey, you'll know when the time comes. Lu Cheng was determined not to tell, even though Ke kept asking. The family reunion, the delicious dinner, the surprise gifts, and the warm conversation had nothing to do with Lu Cheng. He stayed in room 1218 and busied himself with decorating. When everything was done, he chatted with Yan Zhika on the internet and patiently waited for her to appear. Number 1902, double-bedroom suite. Yan Zhika was sitting on the sofa, leaning back and holding Ji Mingyu's arm. She was chatting with her parents about her major. On the tea table in front of her, there was a cake that had been eaten and a candle that had been blown out. She looked at the time on her phone and deliberately covered her mouth to yawn. I have to get up early tomorrow and go back to school for special training. Oh, it's late. Wash up and go to bed. Yan Kai looked at his watch and automatically understood what his daughter meant. Okay. Yan Zhika nodded and asked a little guiltily, Dad, Mom, when are you leaving? I'll send you off. Our flight is tomorrow morning. There's no need for us to send each other off. Go back to school. Yan Kai held Ji Mingyu's hand and answered generously and gracefully. Okay, love you. Yan Zhika smiled and acted cute in a slightly excited mood. Watching her enter the bathroom and hearing the sound of water, Yan Kai said thoughtfully, Ke seems to be thinking about something else and is absent-minded sometimes. Is it the first time she asked for leave and skipped school for this reason? Ji Mingyu looked at him in amusement. She didn't know whether to praise him for having a sharp eye or ridicule him for being slow in thinking. She exhaled and leisurely said, "Girls at this age will inevitably have all kinds of thoughts." She hinted to her husband. Yen Kai nodded slightly and suddenly sighed with emotion. Ko has grown up unknowingly. She's a big girl now. Haha, I always feel that she was just a little girl yesterday. In the future is not far away. 20 years of life passed in the blink of an eye. At his age, it was inevitable that he would have such sentiments. Yes, a big girl. Ji Mingyu sighed faintly. She turned off the light and rolled on the bed. Resisting the sleepiness brought by the physiological alarm clock, she chatted with Lu Cheng about various topics and listened to the sounds in the living room. At 11 o'clock, she heard the sound of washing up. At 11:20, the door of the other bedroom closed. At 11:40, she waited patiently for a while. After changing her clothes and putting on her shoes, she carefully opened the door and walked out quietly and cautiously. She closed the door of her bedroom and put away the spare room card. She silently walked to the exit and turned the doorknob more attentively than when she was in the challenge tournament. She opened the door with a very faint sound. She walked out and closed the door behind her silently. She finally felt relieved. She took out her phone and sent a message to Lu Cheng. "Sister is here. Get ready to welcome me." Her footsteps became light as she skipped into the elevator. Swiping her card, she went down to the 12th floor and found room 18. She stopped at the door and felt inexplicably nervous. She took a breath and gently knocked twice. Crick. The door immediately opened as if magic was cast. She subconsciously looked in and saw that there was no light inside. It was dark. But in the darkness, there were bright stars as if the night sky of the plateau was reflected here, vast and dreamy. The stars slowly rotated, forming a variety of beautiful constellations. On the bed directly below Sagittarius, there was a small cake surrounded by 19 candles. The warm light of the candles flickered, illuminating the red characters on the white cream. "For my fairy's 19th birthday." So beautiful. Yenjika sighed silently and walked in. Her eyes were faintly shining as she remembered what she saw in front of her. At this time she heard a familiar male voice. "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you." Lu Qing closed the door and walked behind Yenjika humming a song. He took out a silver collarbone necklace from his pocket. It was simple and elegant, with a round and shining pearl hanging from it. "I'll put it on for you," he whispered in her ear. "Okay." Yenjika stood there quietly and looked at everything in front of her. She sounded a little drunk. Lu Cheng put the necklace in front of her and fastened it with his nimble fingers. The length of the necklace was just right. The pearl pendant hung in the middle of Yenjika's two beautiful and delicate collarbones, like a drop of water in those attractive hollows. "Is it beautiful?" Lu Cheng kissed her neck on the side. These were all gifts that he had picked out from Ku's preferences and from her conversations and sharing of her own initiative. "Yes." Yenjika responded in a low voice. There were a lot of emotions in her heart and a lot of words she wanted to say. But when they reached her mouth, they became inexplicable things. Why are you lighting candles on the bed? Be careful not to burn them." She only felt that her eyes were a little wet and her face was a little hot. "Have you forgotten that I'm a walking refrigerator now?" Lu Cheng laughed in her ear and pulled her to the bedside. "Wait for midnight to make a wish." "Okay." Yenjika answered for the third time tonight. She looked around and tried to find a topic that would not make her excited. "What's the meaning of this collarbone necklace?" Lu Cheng was prepared. He laughed and said, "A pearl means that it's your first birthday after we got together. It also means that I'm giving you the championship I won this year." "Humph, a pearl necklace for my first birthday and 2 pearls for my second birthday? And a pearl necklace in the future?" Yenjika was a little flustered because of being moved and happy. She was afraid that she would cry, so she subconsciously argued with him. "Good idea." Lu Cheng smiled and gave her a thumbs up. Yenjika stroked the pendant and looked around. She said, "I'm sorry. You also prepared a prop?" "Yeah, the starry sky projector. I was so stupid at that time. I bought one that cost a few hundred yuan, but it turned out to be just like a slideshow in a lecture. Could only fool kids. So I quickly bought this one. It's more expensive, but the effect is indeed different." Lu Qing shared this matter happily. "When did you stop being stupid?" Yenjika raised her chin and her eyebrows and eyes were full of joy. Soon it was midnight. Lu Qing looked at the girl who looked even more beautiful under the dim candlelight and said softly, "My dear, happy birthday. Make a wish now." "Okay." Yanjika knelt beside the cake and closed her eyes. After a while she opened her eyes, leaned over and blew out the candles. Only the faint light of the starry sky was left in the room. "What did you wish for?" Lu Qing asked with a smile. Yanjika chuckled and said, 3 wishes. The first is that the person I love is healthy and everything goes well. The second is that I don't fall behind in martial arts and learning. The third I won't tell you. It won't come true if I tell you. Okay. Tell me when it comes true. Lu Qing picked up the table knife and cut the cake. He took a piece and took a bite. Later they unconsciously kissed each other. At first it was warm, but gradually it became more and more passionate. When Yanjika leaned back and her lips were tender and tender, Lu Qing said in a low voice, Don't wake up Empress Dowager and the others. I'll wake you up tomorrow morning before morning exercise. I promise I won't do anything you don't want to do. Yanjika felt like she was in a dream since she came in. She had been dizzy and standing on clouds. Looking at her boyfriend's longing eyes, her heart softened and she said, Okay, I believe you. Before she finished, she was embraced by Lu Qing again. Their lips and tongues tangled and they fiercely demanded. Her clothes and shoes fell to the ground. Lu Qing grabbed the edge of the remaining half of the cake and threw it to the round table. It landed steadily on the table. Under the witness of the vast starry sky, he kissed the girl from head to toe. Yanjika, who had never tasted such surging lust, bit her lower lip tightly to prevent her soft moans from leaking out. Her hands clutched the bed sheet tightly and loosely. Lu Qing, who had endured for more than half a semester, was a little impulsive. He tried to go further, but Yanjika didn't forget her bottom line. She stopped him and made her attitude clear. Lu Qing respected her wishes and kept his promise. He stopped in time and went into the bathroom. When he came out, the girl had put on her underwear and covered herself with the quilt. She was lying on her side with her face still flushed. She muttered, You didn't follow the steps. What steps? Lu Qing was confused. Isn't this a normal step? Yanjika's face was a little red. She chuckled and didn't answer. Humph, Qing didn't follow the script. He didn't do what Dirty Tong said. He didn't say anything. He just started directly. When Yanjika finished bathing again, she lay back down and snuggled into Lu Qing's arms. She trusted him completely. Lu Qing hugged her, lowered his head and gave her a deep kiss. It was neither hot nor fierce but warm and gentle. Their lips and tongues parted. They looked at each other and smiled. Almost at the same time they said softly, Good night. This was no longer a good night on QQ. This was a real and beautiful kiss. At 5:30 the next day, when Lu Qing got up and did his morning exercise, he experienced the meaningful feeling of every morning after marriage. He ran out of the hotel full of motivation. Yanjika stayed in bed for a while. After tidying up, she quietly went back to the 19th floor and opened the door to the suite. When she was about to sneak into her bedroom, she suddenly saw a figure sitting on the sofa. The Empress Dowager was wearing a nightgown and elegantly crossing her legs. Yanjika's vision went dark. She blurted out, Mom, Lu also lives here? Although Ji Mingyu was asking, her tone was very firm. Yes, we didn't do anything. Yanjika answered first with a guilty conscience. Ji Mingyu stared into her eyes for a while and sighed with relief. My son has grown up, so I can't help him. She patted the seat beside her and said softly, Come on, Mom wants to talk to you. Lu Qing was refreshed and soon welcomed the quarterfinals. Because the opponent was not strong, Songqing University Martial Arts Club still adopted rotation. The combination of Sun Jian, Yanjika and Lin Ke defeated Yeyang University. On Saturday, December 14th, they were the first to enter the quarterfinals. After Sunday afternoon, the quarterfinals were all decided. The organizing committee announced the first round of matches. Sanjiang College versus Haiyuan College. Shanbei University versus Songqing University. The wind was blowing before the storm. Shanbei? Li Mao in the office of the martial arts club blurted out when he saw the match list. He forgot that Xu Rui was leading the team to shoot the material. Lu Qing and the others already knew that they had to face Shanbei in the quarterfinals. However, they did not expect that the first match would be against the national champion of the last 2 years. Shouldn't it be the same as in the game? According to the order from the weakest to the strongest, they should face Haiyuan first, then Sanjiang, and then challenge the big boss after they have accumulated momentum. Why did they have to face the big devil at the beginning? Lu Qing and Yanjika looked at each other and then at Lin Quebec. They had mixed feelings. There was excitement and expectation, but there was also anxiety and nervousness. The first match against Shanbei would not only affect this match, but also affect the following matches due to the different results. If their momentum was thwarted and their morale was low, they might not be able to win the next 2 matches. Shanbei. In Sanjiang College, Chu Hui took off his top hat. Imitating a Western gentleman, he bowed in front of the computer screen with a smile. What an easy draw. Songqing University was going to fight Shanbei first, so they would definitely win at the first spurt of energy, then decline at the second and finally be exhausted at the third. This was a great advantage for the martial arts club. Besides him, the other members of Sanjiang Martial Arts Club were also cheering. Shanbei. In front of the dormitory desk, Yan Shaoling almost jumped up. She quickly posted a post on the forum to calm herself down. Unparalleled Dragon King, what should we do? The first match is against Shanbei. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a funny face, what else can we do? We can't give up the match, right? Phew, this is going to be a wonderful match. It's as if I'm seeing a storm of blood and shadows of swords. The fake driver Okamoto's fan said in a literary tone. At the end he added, if Songqing University wins, I'll share all my treasures. At least detention, replied Bull Demon King to the fake driver. Brahmin, on the other hand, was screaming, I want to watch the competition live. Ah. Little Nightfall, you have to help me look at that. Can I ask, what should I bring to cheer for the away match? A banner? Big picture? Yin Xiaoling's fear faded away. She gradually became excited, mixed with worry and excitement. You don't need to bring anything. Remember, watch yourself, don't get beaten. Teased Unparalleled Dragon King. While Lu Cheng's fan forum was in full swing, the 2 lines of the match table also became a hot topic on Weibo. It was not strange that the match between the famous Heavenly Sons would attract a lot of attention. It could even be said that after the famous commentator He Xiaowei rated the 4 Heavenly Sons in his mind, many people had been waiting for this match. The verified account, National University Martial Arts Competitions, took the initiative to post a preview of the match with a detailed long Weibo with short and eye-catching words. The most eye-catching match in each division, the Heavenly Sons duel in advance. Will Peng Liyun, who has been famous for a long time, have the last laugh, or will Lu Cheng and Lin Ke, who are still young and inexperienced? On December 21st, 3 p.m., we will meet at the Flying Bird Stadium of Shanbei University. The following is the latest introduction of the main players and the main substitutes of both sides. Peng Liyun, rumor has it that he has the combat strength of professional 6th pin during the summer vacation. After more than 4 months of hard training based on his improvement speed, his consistent performance, and the fact that he did not contribute much in the previous division matches, his current strength is definitely worth looking forward to. Is he a strong professional 6th pin, a top professional 6th pin, or has he crossed the threshold of inhuman? Su Wanyan's Corvine mouth has improved again, but he seems to be addicted to his supernatural ability and his martial arts strength has not improved. He is still at the top of the professional 9th pin and has not crossed the threshold of being reborn. This time, his opponent Lu Cheng seems to be able to restrain his supernatural ability, which is not good news for him. Let's wait and see. Will his Corvine mouth be better, or will it be so fierce that he has no friends? Fang Zhirong, who first went to the martial arts school and entered Haiyuan, was trained, but later chose to enter Shanbei University. He and Lin Ke were in the same batch and at that time he was more famous than Lin Quebec. He entered the Dan stage at the same time and succeeded in the middle of August. As we all know, in a period of time after breaking through a big stage, due to different levels of contact and different martial arts methods, a martial artist will have a period of rapid progress. So, after 4 months, how much has Fang Zhirong grown? In addition, when he was in Haiyuan Martial Arts School, Fang Zhirong majored in the martial arts derived from the dark sect and minored in diseases and magnetism. He was arrogant and independent, so he was nicknamed Bad Boy. However, after entering Shanbei University with Peng Liyun keeping him under control, he has become much more obedient. Mao Qingjun, who is in the same batch as Peng Liyun, is a substitute, and has become a top professional 9th pin fighter in the martial arts club. Bernhard, who is a freshman and an international student from Northern Europe, has a supernatural ability and is good at creating air explosions. His nickname is Nobel, but because his martial arts level is not yet at the professional 9th pin level, he is unable to compete for the position of the main force. Lu Qing, who is the biggest discovery of this generation in the Ice God sect, showed the strength of a professional 7th pin when he just entered the Dan stage in August. Now more than 4 months have passed and he has not fought seriously. Just like Fang Zhirong, who is in the period of rapid progress, what kind of surprise will he bring to us? What kind of miracle will the miracle boy create? Lin Ke, who is the new direct disciple of Shushan study, entered the Dan stage in June. It has been more than half a year since then, and no one knows how many movements of the fighting sect he has mastered. In the previous competition, it is said that he made a shocking performance when he showed his full strength. Let's look forward to seeing his full strength, who is also in the state of rapid progress. Yan Zhika, don't just pay attention to her appearance, we should also see her improvement in martial arts. In 1 year she has no rank to the current professional 9th pin level. Of course she is different from Lu Cheng. She did not have a rank not because she did not practice martial arts, but because she did not participate in the ranking event. It is said that she is at the level of amateur 6th pin or 7th pin. However, it is amazing that she can reach the level of professional 9th pin in 1 year. Li Mao, who has improved from an ordinary amateur 3rd pin level to a professional 9th pin level in 1 year, is someone who can be imitated by ordinary people. Kai Zhongming, who is said to have reached the top amateur 1st pin level in only half a year. Sun Jian, a senior member of the martial arts club and the top amateur 1st pin level. Lin Hua, who is expected to reach the amateur 1st pin level this month. Now that the introductions are over, let's interview some of the leading players about this competition. At Shangqing Peng Liyun at Ironmouthed Forever Fang Zhirong 001 Lu Qing 129. As for Lin Ke, he probably doesn't have a Weibo account. In the self-study classroom, Lu Qing, who had been reposted and tagged by many people, saw this Weibo. For a moment, his mind was in turmoil, and he did not know how to reply in what tone or manner. At this time he saw Shangqing Peng Liyun take the lead and say, "I am looking forward to the competition with Lu Qing and Lin Quebec." It was a very ordinary and polite sentence, but under the interpretation of others, it had a completely different meaning. Does Lazai mean that Lu Qing and Lin Ke alone are not enough? He is looking forward to the battle of attrition by Lu Qing and Lin Ke, right? He is full of confidence. Not long after, Ironmouthed Forever expressed his opinion. Songqing University is very strong, and Lu Qing and Lin Ke's progress is also admirable. But I want to say that the final victory will belong to us. Fang Zhirong 001 said concisely, "Wait for them." Feeling the momentum and confidence of the national champion from Shanbei, Lu Qing held the phone and hesitated to respond. What's wrong? Yan Zhika, who had just grasped a difficult point, noticed her boyfriend's abnormality. Lu Qing handed the phone to her, turned to the beginning and explained in a low voice. "You don't know how to answer?" Yan Zhika looked at Lu Qing and asked sharply. Lu Qing nodded and sighed. "I want to win, but my reason tells me that the chance of winning is very small. If I show confidence and seek victory, I will probably be slapped in the face after the competition. But if I admit defeat at the beginning, I can't do it." Yan Zhika looked up and pursed her lips. Then she smiled and said, "Qing, I thought of a saying that I saw a few days ago. It is a bit vulgar, but it has some truth, and it is very suitable for your current situation." "What saying?" Lu Qing asked curiously. Yan Zhika smiled like a flower in full bloom. She said in a low and fast voice, "Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced." Now we can change it. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Indifferent to life and death, fight if you are not convinced. Lu Qing repeated it in his heart. Slowly he felt his blood boiling. He already knew how to reply. He considered his tone and did not use such direct words to post on Weibo. After all, he had to be polite in front of so many people. His fingers quickly typed, and Lu Qing read it one more time before he sent it. "As a martial artist, you can lose but you can't admit defeat. Since you don't admit defeat, fight. Then fight." Chapter 328. Lu Qing's reply soon attracted a lot of attention. Some agreed, some mocked, and some praised. "Not bad, young man. Your attitude is quite sincere. What a weak aura. Are you scared before the fight? Even if you lose, you don't want to lose. You can just say, 'Let's fight.' It's better than adding a bunch of words. That's called being rational. You know you can't beat him, but you still pretend to be confident and hot-blooded. You're either stupid or stupid. Do you like people who talk big? How is this aura weak? Polite and restrained. You don't understand the art of speaking. Not willing to admit defeat means I want to win. I want to win, let's fight. Is that how you feel?" Tisk tsk, you bunch of brainless fans. Don't help him. You obviously don't have the confidence. You obviously don't believe you can beat Peng Liyun. Oh, you even teamed up with Lin Ke. There were some IDs that Lu Qing was familiar with. Wonton Seller said, well said. I don't understand them either. Come on, patting shoulder. Eternal Nightfall said, no matter what they say, I'm fired up. Brahman001 said, I'll support you no matter what you say. Unparalleled Dragon King said with a smile, to be honest, your aura is a little weak, but it suits your character. You're not blindly arrogant, and you don't make empty promises. While reading the replies, Lu Qing was sometimes angry and wanted to post a Weibo rebuttal. At other times, he felt relieved that there were still people who understood him and wanted to give them a like. But in the end, he didn't do anything. He just logged out of Weibo and put down his phone. Maturity didn't mean that one didn't have emotional fluctuations, couldn't be stimulated, and wouldn't be full of desire for certain things. It meant that one knew how to control oneself. When faced with various influences, one could grasp one's thoughts and not be impulsive and blindly vent. Beside him, Yenjika was also reading the comments on Weibo. She was even angrier than him. These people are so hateful. I want to catch them and reason with them. Looking at the girl's puffed-up cheeks, Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. His mood instantly improved. Go ahead. I haven't seen Coach Yen scold anyone. Yenjika glared at him, annoyed and amused at the same time. I scold people all the time, okay? You idiot. That's true. Lu Qing smiled at the scolding. While flirting with each other, he completely adjusted his state of mind. He no longer thought about the external discussions and turned his attention to the competition on the weekend. On Friday, December 20th at 8:35 p.m., the Songqing University Martial Arts Club arrived at Pingjiang City, Shanbei Province. They had arrived a day earlier so that they could challenge the defending champion in their best condition. The school had booked the same hotel that Lu Qing and Gizershire had stayed in before. Firstly, it was close by so they could walk directly into Shanbei University without having to take a bus. Secondly, the environment and accommodation were good. There was a private martial arts gym nearby, so they could rent a place for a few hours for special warm-up training. However, the star rating of this hotel was a little different from what Gizershire had boasted. He felt that the principal didn't give him face and insisted that the school change the hotel to a room for one person instead of the usual double bedroom for two people. Of course, the reason he gave was very legitimate and very convincing. So that everyone can sleep well and be in good condition tomorrow. When they arrived at the hotel, Lu Qing put down his belongings and entered Yenjika's room. He seized the time to watch the video and discuss the opponent, racing against time. This was the strongest opponent he had encountered so far. No matter how well prepared he was, he couldn't be too prepared. Yenjika had missed a lot of homework because of this, so she had to catch up when she got back. At 10:30 p.m., he didn't shamelessly stay in Yenjika's room. After all, they were not the only ones staying in the room. He had to consider the girl's reputation. Yenjika curled up her legs and sat on the bed. She put her arms around his neck and took the initiative to give him a deep kiss. After their lips and tongues parted, she smiled softly and said, "Good night." "Good night." Lu Qing kissed her forehead again, turned around and walked out of the room with a smile. "Do you think I'm a kid?" Yenjika touched her forehead and fell down. She hugged the quilt and smiled. The next day before dawn, Lu Qing got up on time at 5:30 a.m. He washed up and changed into his martial arts suit. He opened the door to find a place to do morning exercises. As soon as he walked out, he felt something was wrong. He turned around and saw Shu Rui and her shooting team standing not far away. "Morning." Shu Rui covered her mouth and yawned. Her eyes were still a little misty because she didn't want to leave the warm bed. Lu Qing was surprised and asked, "Reporter Shu, so early?" The other members of the martial arts club were still sleeping. It was not because they were lazy or not hardworking enough, but because they had special training every day and didn't have Lu Qing's abnormal physical strength. They had to sleep like this. Besides, they had a fixed schedule. A sudden change on the day of the competition would affect their condition. Shu Rui was wearing a very fashionable light black coat. She smiled and said, "In our line of work, other people think it's glamorous. In fact, it's not that good. It's common to wake up early and sleep late. My skin is much worse than when I was in college. I have to spend half of my money on skincare." After closing the distance by complaining, she said with a smile, "I've heard that you always wake up early at 5:30 a.m. to do morning exercises every day, but I never got a chance to film it. This time I finally got the chance." Don't worry, I won't film your specific training. I'll just film you going out, running and looking for a training ground. Okay. Lu Qing agreed. Xu Rui immediately beamed. She ordered the team to follow and film. In the end she asked, "Does Lin Ke also do morning exercises?" Yes. Lu Qing answered without hesitation. This was what Ku had told him. "Oh, what time does he go out?" Xu Rui asked in surprise. "That I don't know. He's always been a loner." Lu Qing spread his hands. Xu Rui clapped her hands. She smiled and said, "There's news. The two leading members of Songqing University Martial Arts Club have a lot of conflicts. Actually, we're relatives. You don't talk like this in front of Lin Ke." Lu Qing complained in his heart. He didn't chat with Xu Rui anymore. He turned around and ran slowly to the elevator. Xu Rui made a gesture and the whole team followed him professionally. After leaving the hotel, Lu Qing went into the light white fog of early winter. After getting his bearings, he ran into Shanbei University. While running, he suddenly remembered something. He subconsciously turned to the stadium. Now today, will he still train there? Following the path in his memory, a path that was almost unfamiliar to him, Lu Qing ran to the vicinity of a large sports field and looked directly at a ginkgo tree. The yellow leaves of the ginkgo tree were falling. The sky was dark and filled with mist. A young man in a white martial arts suit was standing in the middle of the field. He was moving vigorously. He's really here. He didn't relax at all. Lu Qing felt as though he was touched by something back then. Even though it was too far away and he couldn't see clearly, he recognized the young man in the white martial arts suit from watching him day and night. He was the leading member of Shanbei University Martial Arts Club, the direct disciple of Shanqing sect, Peng Leiyun. Lu Qing didn't look at other people's training. It was taboo. Just as he was about to turn around and find another place, Peng Leiyun suddenly stopped, raised his head and looked at him. With a whoosh, Lu Qing felt like there were two flashes of lightning in front of him. They lit up the darkness and dispersed the mist. Of course, this was just his illusion. The lightning wasn't real. It was the two flashes of light in Peng Leiyun's eyes. Even from such a distance, the two flashes of light had such momentum. Suddenly, Lu Qing thought of a symbol of the Thunder sect of Taoism, white in the empty room. This meant that after successful training, one's qi and blood would be full of vitality and his spirit would be so strong that he could see daylight by running his Dan qi in an empty quiet room. Peng Leiyun has reached this level? Has he completed the level below the inhuman stage? Under the polishing of the army formula, Lu Qing's willpower had become tougher and sharper in certain aspects. He didn't panic when he suddenly met the gaze of the empty room, nor did he try to avoid it. He didn't even close his eyes subconsciously. He looked back at Peng Leiyun and nodded with a smile. He didn't hide his burning desire to fight. The light in Peng Leiyun's eyes faded. He nodded from a distance and responded with a smile. Without any other communication, Peng Leiyun started training again. Lu Qing turned around and ran to another secluded place. Last year this season I came here, received my first education, and truly began my own path of martial arts. This year I've returned here and I'm qualified to be a challenger. Did you get it? Xu Rui didn't expect to see such an encounter between Lu Qing and Peng Leiyun in a simple morning training. She was so excited that she couldn't speak. This was material that could only be encountered but not sought. We didn't get that look. We can only edit it according to the front and back. The cameraman was very disappointed. Let's do it. This is the first-hand record of the scene. It's very effective for publicity. Xu Rui clenched her fist. After the morning training, Peng Leiyun ate his breakfast slowly and went to the martial arts club. He saw Su Wanyin, Fang Zhirong and the others warming up. Junior brother Peng, I heard that those from Songqing University arrived last night and are staying in the Osmanthus Garden Hotel. Su Wanyin came over and said excitedly. Peng Leiyun smiled and said, I met Lu Qing this morning. You met him? He's also doing morning training? How was it? How did it feel to see him face to face? Su Wanyin asked. Peng Leiyun smiled and said, Not bad. His eyes began to empty again. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Qing and the others entered the martial arts stadium of Shanbei University in their casual clothes. Because it looked like a big bird with open wings, it was also called the Flying Bird Stadium. Although it was still early, there were already many students in the stadium. They didn't insult or shout at the arrival of those from Songqing University. They just applauded and cheered as if they were attending a feast. This was the attitude of a champion. This was absolute confidence. I feel like they don't take us seriously. Kai Zongming said in a low voice as they entered the locker room of the away team. Lu Qing laughed and said, "Don't worry. They don't treat you that way. They don't even look at you. They don't even know who you are." "Well, I'm the main substitute anyway." Kai Zongming didn't feel inferior at all. After putting down their luggage and changing into their martial arts suits in the bathroom, Geezer Sure said with a smile, "Let's decide the order of appearance first so that we don't have to worry about it and feel tired." Then he looked at Yanjika and said, "Yanjika, when do you think Peng Leyun will appear?" The way he addressed Yanjika had always changed. After Lu Qing formally became his disciple, he called her Yen Girl. Yanjika had long been used to this scene. She pursed her lips and said, "I've checked the information. Peng Leyun usually appears last to leave more chances for his teammates to fight. Only a few times did he appear in the middle or as the vanguard. The first was 2 years ago when he fought against Huahai Guangnan and the capital in the national competition. The second was last year when he fought against the capital." Li Mao nodded slowly and said, "That is to say, he won't appear first if he's not a worthy opponent?" Chapter 329. After hearing Li Mao's words, the whole locker room fell into silence, as if they were asking themselves if Songqing University Martial Arts Club was a worthy opponent for Peng Leyun. In such an atmosphere, Yanjika smiled and answered, "No matter what, we are not opponents that he can take lightly. So this time he will definitely not be the last one to come out." "Why?" Sun Jian blurted out. "Isn't this a contradiction? Peng Leyun didn't come out in advance when he fought Huahai and Guangnan last year." Yanjika smiled and glanced at Lu Cheng. "Because Cheng's supernatural ability can restrain the Corvine mouth. If Shanbei doesn't want to give us a free match, they will definitely let Su Wanyin come out last. In this way, even if he encounters Cheng, it will be Cheng who has fought hard. He will have a chance to win with his own martial arts strength. Besides, no one knows whether his lucky star can still reflect the Corvine mouth when Cheng's condition is low. Without a similar supernatural ability user to help him do the experiment, Lu Qing couldn't figure it out himself. But he vaguely felt that since this supernatural ability was rooted in the Jin Dan, his own condition wouldn't affect the result too much." Hearing Yanjika's explanation, everyone calmed down from their tense state and expressed their agreement one after another. "Su Wanyin will be the last one to come out. Do you think Peng Leyun will be the vanguard directly or let Fang Zhirong test us first to wear us down?" Li Mao asked thoughtfully. Kai Zongming waved his hand. "That's easy. You can figure it out with your toes. Go ahead." Sun Jian, Lin Hua and the others looked at Little Ming with surprise and expectation. Only Lu Qing glanced at him, doubting that he could say anything good. "Peng Leyun will either be the first or the second one to come out," Talker answered seriously. Sun Jian chuckled and gritted his teeth. "You really should be the first to go up. Show off your glib tongue. Look at all of us teammates, we all miss you, Aruba." Sun Jian said in a good mood. Aruba was a game of punishment. It was to lift a boy up, spread his legs and rub his crotch against a pillar. It was both mentally and physically cruel. "I see that you are nervous, so I help you relax. You don't treat me like this." Kai Zongming answered with a smile. When he saw Lu Qing, Sun Jian and Li Mao looking at him with malicious eyes, he stuttered and quickly returned to the topic. "In fact, what I want to say is that whether Peng Leyun is the first or the second, it won't have much effect on our order. Since Su Wanyin is the last one, we will definitely be the same as Lin Ke and Lu Qing. After all, if we defeat Fang Zhirong and Peng Leyun, it's definitely better for Qing to deal with Su Wanyin than for Lin Ke to deal with him. As for the other contestant, like Su Wanyin, he would definitely be placed at the end of the match to avoid giving the other contestant a free match." "That makes sense." Sun Jian pondered for a moment and nodded. "Then it's not you, Aruba?" Beside them, He watched and listened attentively, using her eyes and ears to record the details of the interactions between her senior brothers and sisters. As for Shu Rue, in order to ensure that everyone was in good condition, Geezer Sure refused her suggestion to come in and record the daily routine before the match. Yanjika had been quietly listening to Li Mao's second question. Now she smiled and said, "That's right." With a smile, she said, "Actually, Qing and I both think that Peng Leyun will be the second contestant." What? Lin Hua, Li Mao and the others all looked at her and Lu Qing. Did Peng Leyun pay special attention to him or not? Lu Qing didn't say anything. He just looked at Yanjika with a smile, waiting for her to explain. She pursed her lips and said, This has nothing to do with Peng Leyun. It's because of Fang Zhirong's character and thoughts. He is very arrogant, unruly and maverick. When we talked about the heavenly sons of the era, he was only mentioned briefly. When we talked about the clash between Shanbei and Songqing University, he was ignored again. Most of the time it was Peng Leyun who fought against Cheng and Lin Quebec. With his character, I think he will be very unhappy. He will hold back his anger and want to prove himself. Most of the time, he will take the initiative to fight against Cheng or Lin Ke in their best condition. If Peng Leyun doesn't have a choice, then the most natural choice is to accept. With Peng Leyun's strength and self-confidence, he will definitely accept. Lin Hua clapped her hands lightly as if she had suddenly understood. After hearing what you said, I think Shanbei will most likely fight in the order of Fang Zhirong, Peng Leyun and Su Wanyan. Sun Jian shook his finger to show his agreement. Yan Zhika looked around and saw Lu Cheng's encouraging eyes. She took a deep breath and continued, for us there are only two options. For Shanbei, each has its own advantages and disadvantages. If Lin Ke is the vanguard, it will be a big burden to defeat Fang Zhirong, and it will be difficult to exhaust Peng Leyun. A professional sixth pin in the Dan stage has abnormal physical strength. In this case, Cheng won't have much hope to defeat Peng Leyun, who is about 80% of his strength. But if he succeeds, he will have a psychological advantage against Su Wanyan. Even if he can't win, he will push Su Wanyan to his limit and give us a chance to hold the line. Su Wanyan, who was close to his limit, was not strong enough to turn the situation around if he faced a professional ninth pin or a professional ninth pin fighter in perfect condition. The simplest example was whether he still had the ability to find a chance to speak. The legend of Lu Cheng's unlimited physical strength had been broken. It was foreseeable that Su Wanyan would not be shaken by this. Everyone listened thoughtfully. They watched Yan Zhika solemnly analyze the second option. If Lu Cheng is the vanguard, he can take advantage of his physical strength. After defeating Fang Zhirong, he can let Peng Leyun fight fiercely and leave Lin Ke with enough hope. This is better than the first option. But a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. After defeating Peng Leyun, Lin Ke is likely to be defeated quickly by Corvine Beak. And Su Wanyan, who is in good condition, should have no problem defeating any of us. Speaking of this, she looked at Geezer Shi, who had been silent all this time, and said, Coach Shi, which option is up to you in the end? Geezer Shi coughed twice and laughed. Let's pick the last one first. Li Mao, you go. Yes, Coach Shi. Li Mao answered in surprise. Yan Zhika, on the other hand, was a little gloomy, because it was the hateful period again. After her physical fitness had reached the level of a professional ninth pin, her menstrual cycle had become very regular. It was less early or late, and it was the same this time. Tomorrow was the official date. She had originally thought that she could fight today, but in the afternoon, perhaps due to the pressure of facing the defending champion, she felt like her period was coming. If it was just a strong opponent, she felt that she could fight in such a condition. But the opponent was Shanbei, a terrible enemy that she had to squeeze every chance to win. Considering that her condition was deteriorating, she rationally chose to give up and give the opportunity to Li Mao, who was in good condition and had made great progress. She hoped that senior brother Li Mao would not be nervous at the end. While she was in emotional turmoil, she suddenly felt that her hand was held by Lu Cheng quietly. They looked at each other and did not say anything. Geezer Shi cleared his throat and laughed. Since the order of Lin Ke, Lu Cheng, and Lu Cheng has advantages and disadvantages, then He made a decision with a hey. Let's draw lots. Draw lots? Lu Cheng was a little dumbfounded, so were the other members. Isn't this too childish? In the locker room of Shanbei University, Huang Qing, a middle-aged coach with white hair, glanced at Su Wanyan and said, You'll fight last. He was a senior coach in the university martial arts circle. Although he was only at professional 8th pin in the Dan stage, he was very good at teaching newcomers. He had trained countless professional 9th pin fighters, including nearly 10 in the Danchi stage. Many martial arts clubs, martial arts schools, and even clubs had hired him with high salaries. Unfortunately, he preferred the atmosphere of the university and thought that the treatment was not bad, so he stayed in the circle. In the last 2 or 3 years, he had been working quietly behind the scenes, overshadowed by Peng Leyun. Okay. Su Wanyan heaved a sigh of relief and replied happily. Huang Qing was about to continue the arrangement when Fang Zhirong suddenly stepped forward and said, Coach, I want to fight first. Looking at his stubborn eyes and freckles, Huang Qing unconsciously glanced at Peng Leyun, only to see that the heavenly son of the era had come back from his daze and was smiling casually. Okay, you'll be the vanguard. Huang Qing agreed to Fang Zhirong's request. This bad boy took a bit of a wrong path when he entered the university. Thanks to Huang Qing's correction and guidance, he was able to maintain his progress and reach the Dan stage in 1 year. He was Huang Qing's proud disciple. Fang Zhirong nodded hard, then took a deep breath and looked out of the door. I'll prove to everyone that I'm also a heavenly son of the era. The copyright of this year's university martial arts competition was bought by a big video website, so the match between Shanbei and Songqing University could only be watched on the internet. Brahmin had 2 braids hanging in front of her and a pile of snacks in front of her. Her eyes were focused on the computer screen, listening to the conversation between the host and the guest commentator, a high-ranked Dan stage grandpa Jianghu. After listening to Senior Zhang's analysis, I have a general idea. Today's highlight is not whether Songqing University can beat Shanbei, but whether Lu Cheng and Lin Ke can take turns to beat Peng Liyun. The host said excitedly. Bullet comments floated over his head. I don't think it's possible. Come on, Lizai. Prove that they are fake heavenly sons. A professional 6th pin fighter's physical strength is abnormal. Peng Liyun really has a chance to win 2 matches in a row. Shangqing Sect Fan Group reporting. Wuxia Club is not afraid. Lu Qing will create another miracle. Seeing that Peng Liyun's supporters obviously had the upper hand in the bullet comments, Brahmin was so angry that she pulled her braids and reached out to turn off the bullet comments. So angry. Out of sight, out of mind. In the office of the Martial Arts Club of Capital College, a group of members were watching the projected live broadcast. Hasn't the president come yet? Xinyu, who looked clean, asked worriedly. When a cute girl with a round face heard this question, she exclaimed and replied embarrassedly, Senior sister said that she would come over by herself. She told me not to wait for her. Xinyu covered her face. Oh no, she must be lost again. You guys watch first. I'll call her. In the lively and jubilant atmosphere, Yan Shaoling, Mu Jinyan and others were a little nervous. Until Geezer Shi came out first, followed by Lu Cheng and Lin Ke, they cheered up and forgot their fear. They took out the small trumpet and blew the welcome horn. When both sides were seated, the referee, a high-ranked Dan stage, stepped into the arena. The broadcast began to announce the 2 sides of the first match. First round, Fang Zhirong. The announcer paused deliberately to let Fang Zhirong receive the cheers of the audience. Then he shouted in a normal tone, against Lin Ke. The focal battle was about to start. Chapter 330. December 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The referee stood in the middle of the ring and shouted, First round between Shanbei University Martial Arts Club and Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Fang Zhirong versus Lin Ke. As the voice echoed, Lin Ke and Fang Zhirong stood up at the same time, as if they had been waiting for a long time. Maybe it was out of habit or maybe it was because he had been influenced for a long time, but Lin Ke didn't go directly to the ring. Instead, he bumped fists with his teammates from left to right and heard cheers after cheers. When it came to the coach, Geezer Shi coughed. Unlike the young people, he only spat out 2 words, Don't worry. Don't worry. Lin Ke repeated silently. There seemed to be a flash of light in his deep eyes. He turned around and left his seat. Along the path to the defending champion, he walked step by step to the front of the stone steps. Around him, the deafening sound of trumpets rose and fell, one after another, welcoming Fang Zhirong to the ring. Fang Zhirong was a big boy of medium height with a delicate appearance. He looked shy, but his eyes were wild and stubborn. There seemed to be a proud and sharp soul hidden in his body. As soon as he stood on the right side of the referee, he stared sharply at Lin Ke, full of eagerness to fight. Lin Ke didn't show any weakness. He looked back calmly as if there was a flame burning in the depths of his eyes. Defeating a qualified opponent was what every martial artist yearned for and looked forward to. The tense scene in the ring made the host in the live broadcast room sigh with emotion. Last September they were both highly anticipated genius fighters in the martial arts circle of the university, but they never got the chance to fight each other. One of them was overshadowed by Peng Liyun's brilliance, and the other was overtaken by Lu Cheng, whose brilliance was overshadowed by Lu Cheng. Both of them have their own shortcomings. Today's duel will definitely have a loser and a winner. Well, we can't rule out a tie. In short, the winner will get back the glory that belongs to him, and the loser will be dejected, suffer greater setbacks and bear greater pressure. Senior Zhang, who do you think will win? It's hard to say. Zhang Heran shook his head and didn't make a definite judgment. They have just entered the dance stage a few months ago and are still in the stage of advancing by leaps and bounds. How many moves of the fighting sect has Lin Ke mastered? How many breakthroughs of the meteor force has Fang Zhirong made? What new things have Fang Zhirong comprehended from the incomplete dark sect, plague sect and magnetic sect? None of these are known to outsiders. In other words, they don't know much about each other. This competition is full of variables. While the host and the guests were chatting, the referee looked around and extended his right hand. Conversation time starts now. Fang Zhirong smiled bashfully. The fighting spirit in his eyes grew stronger. When I first entered university, I kept hearing your name and was always compared to you. It was inevitable that I wanted to fight with you. But last year, President Su awakened the Corvine Beak, supernatural ability, and didn't give me a chance. Now I can finally officially fight with you. At this point he was no longer courteous. Let's see who is more powerful and who doesn't live up to his name. Let's see who is the real heavenly son of the era. Since August I have been holding my breath, waiting for today, waiting for the battle to prove myself. Facing his provocative words, Lin Ke didn't even blink. He stood there with a blank expression. He was silent, brewing and secretly counting. Fang Zhirong knew his opponent's usual behavior, so he didn't care. After speaking his mind, he felt relieved and began to adjust his body slightly. He rotated the local magnetic field and pushed his state higher bit by bit. When the conversation time was coming to an end, he suddenly saw Lin Ke open his mouth and reply to his previous words. Unfortunately you are not Peng Liyun. Unfortunately you are not Peng Liyun? Does that mean I'm not qualified? Is there a big gap between me and Peng Liyun? Fang Zhirong was hit in the part of his heart that he didn't want to be touched. Because of his deeply hidden inferiority he was furious. Like a stray cat whose tail was stepped on, his pupils contracted and his hair stood on end. He was about to rush forward and tear his enemy apart. Sooner or later I will defeat Peng Liyun. Sooner or later I will surpass him. This day will start with defeating you. Just as Fang Zhirong was about to come to his senses and suppress his emotions, the referee raised his right hand and suddenly swung it down. Begin. Lin Ke's grasp of the enemy's psychology and his use of time could be described as accurate. He was worthy of being a top student of the psychology department. However, when it came to psychological problems, those who could treat themselves couldn't treat themselves. Moreover, they were resistant to other people's treatment. Fang Zhirong was burning with anger. He bent his back and rushed toward his opponent in a zigzag manner, sticking close to the ground. His speed was extremely fast and his footwork was very strange. His opponent couldn't grasp where he would land every time. Lu Cheng's snake steps mixed with mercurial balance paled in comparison to his current state. Even if he was furious, Fang Zhirong was still a battle-hardened martial artist. He had seen Lin Ke's previous matches and had a deep impression of Lin Ke's lightning-fast attack at the beginning of the match. He didn't give him such a chance. Lin Ke looked indifferent. He didn't make the first move. His muscles and fascias operated and his feet moved toward Fang Zhirong, turning from passive to active. The sound of wind filled the arena. The two of them moved quickly and kept crossing each other. Each of them was looking for the best opportunity to attack. However, as soon as such an opportunity appeared, it was often covered by the opponent's footwork. They didn't collide for dozens of seconds as if they were performing a dance for the audience. The layman enjoyed the show while the expert appreciated the skill. While the audience was slightly disappointed that there wasn't a physical fight, Lu Cheng was watching attentively. His brother-in-law and Fang Zhirong's footwork were different. Fang Zhirong's footwork was ingenious. He moved in a straight line like a shooting star. He won with speed and won with skill. The other was curved but not straight. He moved in circles and was more unpredictable. He was like a ghost in the dark night. Of course, they weren't very accomplished in this aspect. They were obviously weaker than Qiu Lin, who had practiced her family's footwork to the level of lotus steps, accompanying clouds and thunder. Lu Cheng had to practice use steps to the level of astral wind steps. When he walked, he was surrounded by astral wind and made continuous explosive sounds. Only then could he be considered a match. After a few more rounds, the distance between the two of them was getting shorter and shorter. Lin Ke and Fang Zhirong seized the opportunity almost at the same time. Before they could use their strength and Dan Qi, Lin Ke exploded the strength in his shoulders and quickly swung his forearms to punch out like lightning. The other's back muscles swelled, and he slid forward and punched out like an illusion in the night. Bang! Their opportunities were intercepted by each other. The two fists collided in midair, making the first muffled sound of the match. Seeing the two fists freeze in midair, Fang Zhirong's elbow joint was dislocated in a strange position, causing his forearm to rise like a venomous snake. He leaped up close to Lin Kei's fist, his 5 fingers spread open and quickly, accurately and ruthlessly grabbed his opponent's arm. At this moment, Fang Zhirong's 5 fingers glowed with a faint dark light, as if they had turned into poisonous fangs. He was going to inject a deadly substance into Lin Kei's body through contact. The Dark Sect's dark poison force. This force originated from the Plague Sect and was also known as the Plague Force. It was later learned by the founder of the Infinite Scripture of Dark Sky, and incorporated into his own knowledge. It became one of the core forces of the Dark Sect. Compared to the original version, it was less poisonous and more mysterious. No matter where Lin Kei was touched, as long as it was not blocked by his force, he would be poisoned. Although the dark poison force that Fang Zhirong had mastered couldn't threaten Lin Kei's life with his current state, it could at least cause various negative effects, such as dizziness, difficulty in breathing, chest tightness and shortness of breath, effectively reducing the opponent's strength. Moreover, the poison would definitely accumulate, stacking over and over again. It would be difficult for Lin Kei to withstand it. Fang Zhirong's 5 fingers were like fangs that were about to bite down. It was so fast that it was impossible to dodge. At this moment, the muscles on Lin Kei's arms suddenly tightened and contracted, tightly sticking to his bones. It made that part of his body shorter, out of thin air, causing Fang Zhirong's poisonous fangs to be slightly faster. It was as if he was trapped in a place of nothingness. This tightening and contraction was not normal. It was done by Lin Kei's force concentration. Following that, he didn't try to grab his opponent's wrist. Instead, he spurted out his Dan force and stomped his left foot. The 16th move of the fighting sect, earth cracking. Boom. The sound exploded from inside the arena. The ground under Fang Zhirong's feet suddenly cracked open, with a strong force rushing up like a volcano coming to life. Compared to the previous move, Lin Kei's move had improved a lot. Fang Zhirong felt pain in the sole of his foot and couldn't help but pull back his leg. His body lost its balance and became unsteady. During this process, his right hand moved up and his 5 fingers left Lin Kei's arm. He couldn't catch Lin Kei anymore, so he injected the poison force. Lin Kei's eyes flashed. He wanted to seize the opportunity to start a combo. In this situation, Fang Zhirong didn't follow the momentum of the swaying to avoid the follow-up attacks with his footwork. He also didn't use force concentration to circulate his chi and blood to stabilize his body and defend against the counterattack. Instead, he swayed his center of gravity, exerted strength in his shoulders, and swung his right hand backward, hitting Lin Kei's arm with the back of his palm. He did some visualization in his mind. The darkness on his fingertips faded quickly, and the edge of his palm was stained with a touch of green. Bam! Lin Kei, who was about to attack, couldn't dodge in time. The back of Lu Cheng's hand brushed past his forearm. His vision suddenly turned black and he felt an indescribable pain. It was as if he had suffered a fracture, as if he had been hit in a vital part. It was just a brush, but it hurt so much. The 27th move of the Plague Sect, Scorpion Tail Needle. Fang Zhirong hadn't wasted the past few months. Not only had he mastered the force, but he had also mastered 2 unique moves. This move couldn't bring out the toxicity of the dark poison force, but it could cause more pain than normal, which would obviously affect the enemy. Although Lin Kei's right hand wasn't hurt, it still felt like it was disabled because it was uncomfortable when he used force. At this time, Fang Zhirong finally swung away and staggered back a few steps. Lin Kei knew that this kind of stimulation could be resolved by shrinking his chi and blood, force and spirit, but it was equivalent to wasting a chance to break out the Dan stage. Therefore, he stubbornly clenched his teeth and endured the pain without doing anything. His face was pale and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Chapter 331. While Lin Kei was enduring the pain, Fang Zhirong was not relaxed at all. For this match, he had watched many videos of powerful Dan stage fighters from Shushan's study and was deeply impressed by their terrifying combo moves. Just now, when the sole of his foot was injured and he lost his balance, he subconsciously thought of this. Therefore, he used the Scorpion Tail Needle in advance to avoid falling into the brink of failure. His original plan was to use this move of the Plague Sect at the critical moment and take advantage of Lin Kei's sudden pain to seize the opportunity to win. Now that he had exposed it so early, not only did he lose the element of surprise, but also caused a great burden to his body. It was all because he had been provoked by the scorpion tail needle, so the fight was more risky. Fang Zhirong was quite annoyed. He restrained his emotions, bent down again, and zigzagged around Lin Quebec. He did not attack and did not give his opponent a chance to use force concentration to relieve the pain. Being distracted by the pain would consume a fighter's energy. He intended to prolong this process as long as possible to weaken Lin Ke until his opponent got used to the pain. While zigzagging, he was slightly limping because the sole of his right foot had been hit by the earth fissure, leaving bruises and pain. If it were not for his shoes, he would have been seriously injured. In the short fight, both sides had suffered losses. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the commentator in the live broadcast room, Jianghu, explained in detail the few terms he had shouted before. Dark Poison Force is one of the core forces of the Dark Sect. It's very poisonous. No matter where it hits the opponent, it will cause a snake-like effect. As for the symptoms after being poisoned, it will depend on which aspect Fang Zhirong focuses on. The Dark Poison Force, practiced by different Dark Sect fighters, is different. Some will cause hallucinations, some will cause shortness of breath, and some will cause dizziness. Scorpion Tail Needle is a dance stage move of the Plague Sect. It's part of the incomplete version and can produce pain that is several times greater than the original damage. The host was stunned when he heard this. He gasped and said, "Senior Zhang, is this true? But Fang Zhirong has no supernatural ability. How did he practice this force in this move?" For a dance stage martial artist without supernatural ability, before he entered the inhuman level and his root pulp changed, the force he cultivated depended on the cooperation of his own muscles, fascia, 5 viscera, 6 bowels, and spirit to create a certain effect by producing special waves. For example, a normal dance stage martial artist of the Ice Sect couldn't have such a strong frost force as Lu Cheng, let alone be able to release it. But according to Senior Zhang, the impact of Fang Zhirong's force and moves were beyond the normal level. Zhang He laughed and said, "He must have used the corresponding medicine to help him practice, just like how some fighters practice poison palm. This kind of force and moves can only be exerted by touching the opponent in a fixed position. It will be weaker and weaker each time, so he has to practice it again after the competition. Moreover, it is very burdensome to the body and can cause a lot of damage. Some break through the limit of the human body slowly, while some are not at the same level. Only when the root pulp is affected and changes corresponding to it can one slowly recover." While he was talking, Fang Zhirong saw that Lin Ke had already adapted to the pain, so he stopped moving and moved closer to him. He changed his moves and attacked with his fists and legs, followed by the catch, and watched in front and suddenly behind. This was the martial art he had become famous for when he was a professional ninth pin fighter. It was derived from the Plague Sect's chronic illness entanglement, unique skill, attack of 9 diseases. The word entanglement was prominent, and it could be used so easily that the opponent could only barely parry and not get rid of it. It was as if the opponent was suffering from various diseases and could only wait to be cured. Bang 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 bang. Fang Zhirong had been aiming at Lin Ke's right hand and didn't give him the best chance to counterattack with force concentration. For a moment he had the upper hand, which made Mu Jinyan and Yan Zhika show the same worry. After calculating the approximate time when the pain would subside, he calmed down and suddenly showed a flaw. Lin Ke waited for a long time and stopped hesitating. He took a deep breath and let the pain condense into a point along with his qi and blood and spirit. Boom. Like a volcano erupting, the Dan qi gushed out. Lin Ke's right arm swelled, and he clenched his fist like a hammer and fiercely swung it at his opponent. He tore the air in the air like an airplane flying through the clouds. They were too close to each other, so he didn't have enough time to prepare for meteor burst. Facing this, Fang Zhirong didn't panic. He hugged his opponent and sat firmly on the golden throne. Bang! He took half a step forward and his body grew a little taller. He swung his fist majestically and said, "Sky-burning fire." Bang! The 2 fists froze in midair. Fang Zhirong's feet sank into the ground. His martial arts shoes, which had long been damaged, were torn into pieces and scattered in different directions. Lin Ke, on the other hand, didn't move at all. He was about to use double explosion to give his opponent another earth-splitting attack. At this time, Lin Ke suddenly felt a strange suction from his opponent's fist, which slowed down the withdrawal of his right hand. Magnetic sect? He thought. He took a deep breath and shook his muscles. Not only did he stop the withdrawal, but he also took the opportunity to punch forward. He used the yin-yang twist to attack Fang Zhirong with the help of the suction force. Seeing this, Fang Zhirong was not surprised but happy. His face reddened and he shook and twisted his wrist. The suction force suddenly changed into a repulsive force, which slowed Lin Kei's attack. It was this delay that made Fang Zhirong's body explode. It was like there were turbines running crazily. He controlled his body and changed the magnetic field in the subtle parts of his body. They stimulated and influenced each other, superimposing a terrifying explosive force. Magnetic sect, rotation of poles, magnetic field rotation. With a boom, he punched and blasted the air in front of him. He blasted towards Lin Kei with a crushing force. He didn't use force concentration for this attack, but it was almost as powerful as a dance stage explosion. When one reached the inhuman stage, one's control was stronger and one's body had changed. Many visualizations were no longer necessary. This move could be used together with force concentration to double the effect of a dance stage explosion. Of course, the burden was not just doubled. Fang Zhirong used drugs to train his strength and his body was damaged. The number of times he could use force concentration was less than a normal dance stage, and he could only use double explosion once. Therefore, he practiced this move painstakingly to make up for his shortcomings. However, under normal circumstances, it was difficult to have enough preparation time to use this move freely in a battle. But now he wanted to use this move to consume Lin Kei's dance stage explosion. He wanted his opponent, who was still worried about the next match, to become impatient and make mistakes during the battle, giving him an opportunity to take advantage of. As for himself, he wasn't in a hurry at all. With Peng Liyun behind him, no one would be in a hurry. In such a short distance, Fang Zhirong's punch was so powerful that Lin Kei couldn't dodge it. He had to either use force concentration to take it head-on, or be knocked out of his stance and retreat. He was in danger. Lin Kei's eyes grew deeper. He raised both his hands and his wrists were gentle. He pulled and pushed. He chose not to use the power of his Dan force at this moment. Bam! Fang Zhirong's fist seemed to be stuck in a quagmire. Under the pull and push of his opponent's palms, it lost some momentum and couldn't release all of its power. Bam bam bam. Lin Kei took 3 steps back. His center of gravity was shaky, and his body wasn't nimble enough. Now is the time. Fang Zhirong seized the opportunity and strode forward. He stretched out his right hand and grasped Lin Kei's left arm accurately. A faint ink light flashed and poured into Lin Kei's arm. He finally had a chance to use his dark poison force to his heart's content. Seeing that he had succeeded, Fang Zhirong was delighted. He was about to attack again when he saw that Lin Kei's eyes were calm, as if he had been waiting for this moment. Lin Kei took a deep breath. His body trembled violently, and all of his muscles seemed to be undulating. He stretched out his right hand and spread out his 5 fingers. The tip of his hand was also black. G Family's yin-yang twist. I'll return your dark poison force with my dark poison force. With a snap of his fingers, Lin Kei poured half of the borrowed dark poison force into Fang Zhirong's body and returned it to his opponent. Fang Zhirong's chest tightened and he felt short of breath. Although he was resistant to poison, taking so much at once would still affect him. As for Lin Kei, his yin-yang twist was still far from being able to completely neutralize his opponent's force. More than half of the poison still remained in his body, and his chi was even weaker. However, he was already prepared. After his successful attack, he immediately used force concentration to reduce all the negative effects. Taking advantage of the fact that Fang Zhirong had yet to recover, he exploded his human body Big Dan. After accumulating his momentum, he leaned forward and swung his arm. After expanding his muscles, he quickly rushed forward again. Boom! The air between the two seemed to explode as a violent shockwave surged toward Fang Zhirong. Fighting Sect's 27th move, Meteor Burst. Just as Lin Kei was about to punch, Fang Zhirong's pupils shrank. He didn't dare to be careless and quickly used force concentration to condense his chi and blood in his dantian. He raised his hand to block the violent impact. But once Lin Kei started his combo, it wouldn't be so simple. He hugged and let go and his left foot suddenly stomped down. Fighting Sect's earth cracking, double explosion. Bang! A muffled sound came from within as the ground cracked. Fang Zhirong didn't care about his feet. His feet hurt and his body swayed again. He had to use force concentration to circulate his chi and blood to stabilize his center of gravity. At this time Lin Kei's foot stomped down, and he was already close to Fang Zhirong's body. His arm opened and closed and he grabbed Fang Zhirong's arm. He bent his elbow and pressed it against Fang Zhirong's joint, making it temporarily impossible for Fang Zhirong to use force. Then Lin Ke took a deep breath and visualized the scene of a falling meteor. He let go of his dantian and jumped up, pressing Fang Zhirong against the ground. Triple explosion. Fighting Sect's 10th move, Death Calamity. Bang. Fang Zhirong was dizzy from the fall and lost the ability to fight back. Lin Ke lowered his body, loosened his arm, and with a spring of his arm, pressed against Fang Zhirong's throat. The referee raised his right hand and announced loudly, Lin Ke wins. Songqing University Martial Arts Club won the first match. Hearing this, Mu Jinyan immediately jumped up and cheered, "You're right. Hooray. Lin Ke is awesome." Lu Cheng, Yanjika, and the others were also happy, but they weren't so excited. The match was not over yet, and there were still many difficulties ahead. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.